Woo! What's up, everybody? We are back again. I'm going to play a little bit of music while we get everything set up and waiting. Hopefully, you can enjoy. Woo! In my life, for me to move on and get on with my life. Oh, but I don't regret no every precious moment that we spent. They were well spent. Oh, girl, yes, they were. Yes, they were. Don't be sad. Don't be blue. You have your whole life ahead of you. Love was here. Now it's gone. So it's time you keep moving on. Don't take it personal. Take the bitter with the sweet. Easy come, easy go. Don't take it personal. Take the bitter with the sweet. Some good things come to an end. No blame, no shame. It was nice, but sometimes things do change. We change, but we can still be friends. Oh, girl, you have so much to offer to someone else in their life. If you reach out, oh, girl, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oh, don't be sad. Don't be blue. You have your whole life ahead of you. Love was here, now it's gone. So it's time you keep moving on. Don't take it personal. Take a bit with the sweet. Easy come, easy go. Don't take it personal. Take a bit with the sweet. Some good things come to an end.
You know, it seems as though our time has come to move on and go our separate ways. Since we're not going to be lovers anymore, well, let's just be friends.
Don't be sad, don't be blue. You have your whole life ahead of you. Love was here, now it's gone. So it's time you keep moving on. Don't take it personal. Take a bit with the sweet. Easy come, easy go. Easy come, easy go, baby. the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. I keep forgetting, Lord. Every time you're near, every time I see your smile, hear your hello, saying you can only stay a while. And I know that it's hard for you to say the things we both know are true. But darling, how come I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore? I keep forgetting things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. I keep forgetting this. Every time I hear how you never want to live a life, how it's gone too far, and you don't have to tell me why. Why you go, and why the game is through. If this is what's real, if this is what's true, tell me how come I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. Baby, things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. Yeah, baby. Don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. I know you're not mine anymore, anyway, anytime. Tell me how come we're not in love anymore. How come things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. I keep forgetting, baby. Every time you're near, not in love anymore. Every time you're near, forget things will never be the same. How you made that so clear. Every time you're near, forget can't wait till the sun goes down. I've been wanting for you, counting the minutes you're not around. That's what's getting me through the day. Every thought that comes into my mind is always centered around you. So glad to know that you're by my side. Wouldn't have it any other way. Just wanna tell you how I'm feeling inside. Like I've been walking cloud number 9. Your love is rare like the finest of wine. It just gets better with time. Said it just gets better with time. Can't stop thinking about you. Got to have you around me. Live for the moments when we touch. Such a sensation I can't explain. Just wanna tell you how I'm feeling inside. You let me walk in on cloud number 9. Your love is rare, and like the wine is the wine. Said it just gets better with time. It just keeps on getting better.
Woo! What's up, everybody?
You know, Charles, I don't know if you're gonna hear me. I tell you to play that. I forgot that artist that sung that song back. It was in the 80s. Say, I love you, get to stop.
Oh, you talking about Michael McDonald?
Yeah.
That was a smooth ass white boy, right?
Listen, you know, even the guy. Do you play the song about that guy that came out in 1978? I forgot.
Oh,
Dally
yeah,
Calloway. Dally Calloway. You got that?
I might. If not, I could definitely find it.
Right.
Woo, how you like that music? How you like the music selection?
Yeah. Damn, man, you kind of play better selection than me and when I have my little. Well, you know, I could play certain music, I can find it, but you know how YouTube is with the copyright nonsense. They mess up the vibe, man, on the shit, man.
Yeah, they do, because if you really think about it, we're actually
off their ass. No, it's just to get the vibe. That's it.
It's a vibe, and besides, it's pretty much free advertising anyway. Just take $1 or $2 out of the super chats, or you just don't get super chats. I don't get super chats. I don't fucking get it. Like I don't get super chats because you're already taking about a third of the cut anyway.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Just to get the vibe. It actually taking more than a third. It's taking 40% now. Remember, I'm hearing that.
Oh, they can suck. They can suck all the dicks on that one.
Yeah. So people say that you make money on YouTube. The only time you make real money if you watch a Kevin Samuels stream. That's money.
Yeah, like Kevin Samuels getting dough. Like, okay, on his note, yeah, that's worth getting a super chat. But if you're a smaller channel,
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, got to get my Java cigar out. For the good times, people, for the good times.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Faulkner, I don't know if everybody's ready. Let me check. A few people watching, that's fine. Make sure y'all donate to the cause. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else, you know.
We got DJ Moss. We got Simply Unique. We got my boy Aaron. We got New York NC Worker. Woo. Appreciate it. I know there's a couple of streams, so we're not getting the usual traffic. So
yeah,
the show still goes on. Don't worry.
I don't think much going on tonight because late night, so you know how it goes still.
There's a couple of late nighters tonight.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah. But like I said, you know, donate, people. Like always, don't be scared. Make sure you hit the like button as you come in. There's Simply Unique's in the building. You know what to do, my lady, sweetie. Drop the Great Faulkner Initiative, and drop the links if you can, as long as you're still up Unique. We would appreciate it. You're the best moderator.
Oh yeah.
World, you know what I'm saying? No one else give you credit, moderate, and you didn't have to do this, but you do it out of the kindness of heart because you respect the great regime, the group, Mr. Charles Faulkner. You know, we love when you moderate and put the chats necessary, the necessary information. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm Unique, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. So let me think. So tonight, observe the GD Law Police Commentary of Michael Woods. And if you're not familiar with Michael Woods, let me see if I could pull. Let me just. I don't think we could actually show this. I think we could. Might be. I'm not sure. Well, it's from the Turks, so I'm not sure if they will. But I'll show what he looks like. I'm gonna put up 2 videos. Give me a second. Where is it? I'm gonna do this. So people get a clear picture of who the man we're talking about. You get me?
Uh-huh.
All right, so I'm gonna try to open two ones. Let me see. Matter of fact, I might just play it and I might just try to put a picture. You got the picture, man?
Oh no.
phenomenal interview for you. Are you
All right.
buckled up?
Hold
You
on.
gotta buckle up. Michael A. Wood Jr.
Hold on. No, I'm not starting yet. Wait 1 second. I'm not starting yet.
This
Not
new
yet,
case,
not
more
yet.
relevantly, former Baltimore.
I'm just gonna show you what it looks like and then run the audio. You know what I'm saying? Just for the sake of the stream. You get me?
Yep.
Because you know how these people act, you know what I'm saying? They're saying you playing this is commentary. And I don't know how that people saying fair use. How the hell that works in every time? I saw people using that joke. Not be affected, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Actual video. So fair use, and they sit there cut off your screen after you run it. I mean, get the hell out of here, man. Wait a minute. All right. Let me share the screen. I'm always gonna show who he is, and eventually you could probably wait. Actually, let me see if I can open two. I'm gonna try to copy his picture. Let me do that first, Charles. I'm gonna mute myself. So wait.
What's up, Royce J? Iman Perry. What's up, High Value Stream? Woo. See, there's some people who speak about policing. There's a lot of people who speak about it, to be frank. The reason why I'm going to speak about his commentary is because he comes from the same department which I'm from. And I remember when Cerulean Stream, Classic Ruby, asked me a question. And she was like, what would he have to lie about? I said, because how much money do you think he would get going around doing interviews from like the Young Turks, Joe Rogan, and other places? You got to think about it. You always got to check the weather. Always got to check what this guy's about. So we're going to sit here. We're going to listen to the play-by-play. I'm going to give my commentary about it. Good, bad, and ugly. If he's right about something, I'll give him credit. If he's wrong about something, I'll let you know it. Fun times, fun times. And yes, for anybody who has complaints about that, educational purposes, fair use. See.
All right, so I'm gonna copy his picture now, and I'm gonna see if I could post. Actually, share the screen so people can see what he looks like. This is him. So everybody know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let it sit for 1 or 2 minutes. After that, you unshare it. I'm gonna try copy the picture. I'm gonna run the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got it? Press 1 if y'all see what he looks like.
It's funny because a friend of mine used to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
Not naming names, of course, but a friend of mine used to work with him. Mm-hmm. And he had some issues. Had some real issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're going to go through this to see what he's truthful about and what he's not truthful about.
Mm-hmm. All right. You can unshare it. Stop share it for now. Oh, actually, no. I think I do it. 1 second. Let me stop sharing. Okay. I guess people will get it once they go to playback. Whenever you're ready. Wait. Matter of fact, let me check the timestamp before I start playing. All right, Charles. I'm ready. I'm gonna play the audio now. Ready?
3, 2, 1. Hit it.
Tonight, as a guy who was a cop in Baltimore, in fact, he used to patrol the area where Freddie Gray was picked up. So tell me about your experience as a cop.
Well, the only person that was surprised by what I said was everybody that doesn't live in the hood. Mm-hmm. Everybody that lives in the hood just went, oh, look, a cop admitted it. But everyone else said, oh my gosh, that really happens? Of course it happens. Did you think the black community was lying for the last 100 years? Is that what we really thought? We thought they were lying?
Yeah, I didn't, but
Right. I mean, as a community, that's what we thought. We thought they were lying. They're not lying. There's nothing else I can say about that. They're not lying. So when I was in, it was you're in that culture. So it's not that there's a racist cop. It's not that there's like this mass organization, like we have this conspiracy. It's that you go into this culture that has these racist roots that you don't think about. It's just what policing has become. And so you do it. A suspect gets kicked in the face. Somebody makes up a little bit on a PC statement. All this stuff is just what police do. So when you were a good guy joining the good guys, you thought that that's what good guys do. So you go into it, and it just takes you acclimatize to the culture, and then eventually I got to the point where I was like, wait.
Pause it.
So what?
See, people don't know this, that one, you could be penalized heavily for lying on a testimony, fired, criminally charged, and also not allowed to testify, meaning you can no longer make arrest. So when former Sergeant Woods talks about this, you got to understand something. Were there times of racial tension between the police and black people? Yes. Were the police founded off of slave catchers? No. Modern policing is not based off of that. What was based off the slave catchers was actually bounty hunting and bail's bond, because you had to pay a bond for your freedom. Modern policing started over there in England with Sir Robert Peel. That's why they call them bobbies over there. So when you look at a city like Baltimore that had a police department basically established since what, 1784, you got to realize guys like him who come into this department are not trying to make a change. They were doing it because they could actually get away with some shit. They want power. Well, you have a lot of cops who actually do the job. They want to be able to take care of their families and make the world a little bit better. Do you have some of those who are corrupt or criminal or do some fucked up shit? And we're not talking about somebody making an honest mistake. We're talking about legitimate fucked up things. Yes. 2 to 3%. 2 to 3% of any population. I don't care if it's McDonald's where they're stealing out the register. I don't care if it's the police department where they're stealing drug dealer money. I don't care if it's a bank where they're stealing everybody's money. You're going to have the 2 to 3%, because if it was anything more than that, the shit would fall apart. But go ahead and continue. Continue.
Okay.
One particular thing, there's a million parts that I want to discuss, all of them in terms of seeing the community as the enemy, etc. But there was one part of Superstart where you talk about a group of cops called the Knockers who come in and urinate and defecate in people's homes. So I think that was jarring for a lot of people. What is that?
But that was a one-off incident that I saw.
Okay.
But I was a knocker at the time. So knockers in Baltimore are the plainclothes officers that you see running around, jacking people up on corners, doing all the drug rips. They're just called knockers to the people there. Mm-hmm. And we had
knockers. Knockers are it's just short for narcotics.
Big that
for the narcotic officers.
Say it again.
Knockers is just short for narcotics officers, the drug cops.
Okay.
Body. Mm-hmm. And we did one raid where we were assisting, and somebody did that in the other room, and it was like, what? Did that just really happen? Like,
and okay, so why?
So the story that I got was that some unit had done it before, and it was like, remember when that unit did that? Mm-hmm. but they do it, and we do things like you tear the house apart, you break things, you do things like that because those are thems. You don't care what you do to them. There's somebody else.
Pause it for a second. Pause it for a second.
You were throwing things around. You just don't care because it's the enemy.
Give me a
It's the
second.
same thing. It's just callousness. And is it gratuitous? I mean,
I open the share screen. I got his photo, so you could probably show the bigger picture.
Okay. Number one, a lot of those narcotics units were predominantly white.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those guys, because by law you have to have a uniform officer there. There are times when you jump in that ass for doing something disrespectful out the way. Did I do plain clothes for a minute? Yeah, for about 3 months. You do things by the book. If the motherfucker don't have shit, he don't have it. If he got him, you do what you got to do. You arrest him. If he's fighting, guess what? You fight. Once you have him down on the ground or he submits, fight's over. That's it. That's all. All that other shit is from those fucking disgusting ass people who do it. That's why when I say you need more black police officers, think about it. If you have more blacks in the drug units, would have that shit been going on? No.
But
and a lot of go ahead.
One thing to say on that is that, and I said this before and I say this again because I talked to men like you, and I'm glad that I helped try to establish a channel now at the right time since the beginning of the summer. Is for things like this. You get me, bro?
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people don't understand. I don't do things for a reason. I could have been still waited. I'm gonna talk to you back soon before we continue, because my channel was suspended and it just got reactivated yesterday, right? That I could have just sat back, say, "Fuck it, it's gonna take a break from all this," and I say, but I did. I kept being very proactive for the last few months, and instead of sitting down just let things slide by, I said, let me reach out to other brothers, see what I could do since I'm no longer could be a voice like that. And lo and behold, because of Breonna Taylor and all this situation, you have a now that, with me putting my time and energy in to establish this channel to really push back this real serious narrative in regards to law enforcement and black people less involvement in being police officers. So the timing is very crucial now.
Oh yeah.
We're in the first generation of the 21st century. That saying these are things that you're going to learn now. You're not going to get this from Miss Dorsey or any other guy. You're not going to get another guy, Mr. Tatum. You're not going
to get the raw, honest truth you get over here. So please like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Any of your people who are up who want to learn some shit, who want to get the bare truth. Look, a lot of those fucking drug units, a lot of police officers, it's different. It's a little bit different now because we have a much more civilized class of drug detectives.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, they were doing some foul shit. They were getting reported a lot. They were always down Internal Affairs, which is now called the Public Integrity Bureau.
Oh, they're changing the name of it now.
Nah, everybody wants to make a new name and a new bureau and all that shit. That's just how police and shit rolls. But when you have lack of representation, see, it's like I told Cerulean. The reason why you need more black cops is because people work off of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have less disrespect. You're going to have less turmoil. You're going to have less needless arrest.
Unnecessary arrest as well.
And the problem is this. When you listen to guys like this, and they never reported this shit while they were on duty, what good are you? That's why they call it an old boy system. You don't like. Here's my shit. We don't support, and this is the reason why you need an FOP, because you're at the beck and call of the fucking mayor and the fucking city council. Just like you shouldn't be fired off of a fucking allegation, neither should be the police, fire, military. It should be a proper investigation. You have people who will fuck with your contracts and fuck with your money, like the mayor and city council will try of any district. And guess what? If you don't give those people fair, competitive pay, your police department will dissolve. And good luck protecting your family. Especially during these times.
Especially in these times of lockdown. Woo!
And people look at me when I say, what about the corruption? Number one, I'm gonna say this and just put it out there. Why don't the good cops talk about the bad ones or yes they do. First of all, a criminal, whether he wears a gun badge or he doesn't, are they gonna commit their criminal acts in front of people? Or are they gonna wait till nobody's there or nobody even knows? So you gotta understand this. 98% of this shit that goes on, they don't do it in front of cops. They'll do it in front of their little tight-knit units, yeah. But they don't do it in front of the regular cops. Because the regular cops be like, look, don't do any stupid shit around me. Because I value my freedom and I value my career. So they're not going to do this shit in front of other cops. Why do you think it took years before people, even when you're suspecting shit, it took years to validate what the tow truck scandal was about? It took years, a year or two, to validate what the gun trace task force was doing, because they kept it within their own small unit. They didn't do it out there in mass. It's no different than a goddamn regular criminal on the street. Are they going to burglarize your house? More likely when you're in there or when you leave. Same concept. So a lot of this shit that goes on is so secretive that unless you're a part of that group, you may never know until it blows up. I continue.
All right.
Defecation on was it their clothes, their bed, something along those lines?
It was in the corner. I think one was a plant. I don't remember where the other one went, but I thought that they were going to get caught, and I figured, why are they doing that? They're going to get caught.
They never got caught, right?
They never got caught.
Nobody ever turned them in. Right?
No, the people I was with were like, I guess they're just going to tell them the canine did it. That makes sense. No one's going to test it. So if you say the canine dog did it,
right,
then that makes perfectly logical sense.
If you had turned them in, would you have been taken enormous heat from the rest of the cops?
You know what happened to Joe Crystal. You know what happened to me.
Yeah.
And that I thought of it. I didn't think to do it. Like, saying was not something that was even on the, like, what am I going to do? A, B, or C? Like, telling them was E or F or something. It wasn't even on the list. I had A, B, and C. That's it.
Right. And Joe Crystal, for those of you who don't know, is a great cop out of Baltimore who did turn people in. He was a good cop that people talk about. And of course, he got ridden out of town. I mean,
his first sergeant.
You were his first sergeant? Really?
Yeah, when he was a trainee.
Oh, wow. That's super interesting. And how was your relationship with him?
To be honest, he was a trainee. I didn't care about him. He was a low guy. I was making sure he was getting taken care of and was with a good officer. But that was kind of my extent. He was just to do it. I told him honestly.
Right. Okay. That's funny. So, but and did you see Joe getting mistreated by the others once he turned in the
later on after he got the reputation? I mean, everybody knew about it. To be completely honest, I really hated his sergeant. I did not like him at all. I had tons of runs in with that guy. So whatever Joey said was completely plausible to me. That supervisor was a bad supervisor. So anything that happened under his watch wasn't going to surprise me.
Well, that's interesting. But nobody was going to turn on that supervisor. They were going to turn on Joe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So and I did a whole story about that. You should check that out if you haven't seen it on YouTube. Just type in Joe Crystal. He's an amazing guy, and just now he can't even get a job in other police stations. I mean,
he had to go to essentially, not to insult that, but it's a step down.
Yeah, and he's in just this really small local community, And when he applies for jobs in Nevada, they say, "Oh, we did a background check on you." No, even though his test scores are great, etc. So I assume you're not getting back into policing.
I had no intentions of it.
After what you confessed to or admitted to it, as to what cops are actually doing, you got to be right next to Joe on that list.
Well, I've been talking for years.
Well, one of the reasons why he can't get back into policing because he's got to get over his drug habit.
I had completely switched. My master's is in management. My PhD that I'm going for is in management. I was figuring I was just going another path and leaving that behind. And so I like to talk about it once in a while to local media and stuff. We would talk about it.
And then this happened, right?
Because he gets paid.
A lot of people have run the story. You were just on Joe Rogan's podcast. Everybody should check that out too. So now I want to get back into the heart of the matter in a minute, because I think the culture is the most important part, right? But before I do that, I want to rewind a little bit. Where did you grow up, and what made you decide to get into policing in the first place?
So I grew up in the suburbs around Baltimore. I never actually was in Baltimore growing up.
Pause it.
Mhm.
You hear that shit? You never been in Baltimore, but you grew up around the suburbs, meaning he grew up around probably Milford Mill, Woodlawn, Towson,
Mm-hmm.
White Marsh, Essex.
Yep.
So he grew up around, those are the suburbs, which is Baltimore County. But then I'll hear Negroes tell me, well, this ain't a white, no, black man shouldn't join the white man's police department. You giving the fucking jobs away to jackasses like this.
Yeah.
Jackasses who see somebody doing something wrong and won't say anything. Well, they're going to turn on me. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. I had to testify against a sergeant. Not dare the motherfucker to take any retaliatory action against me. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. You wanted to fit in. You wanted to fit in. Because you thought it was normal, you thought it was okay, and you thought, okay, if I treat people like subhumans, I'm okay with it. But if it was to a person of his own cultural ethnicity, all right, that's not right. And then motherfuckers like him, when are you going to see them in the community?
Only time you
How
see the kid when it's work time. After that,
Exactly.
they drive their ass, take that 30-minute drive back home in the suburbs amongst their people.
There's times I don't get paid being a coach for almost 20 years. Almost 20 damn years. And you're going to tell this motherfucker knows more about my community where I live more than me?
Yeah.
Dismiss me with that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You see what the issues are. Every time I see a mayoral or city council member, why don't you get separate schools? I've talked to principals, people with fucking PhDs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the issues are. You don't have any opportunities. You don't have any trades. You don't have any fucking hope. You know goddamn well a lot of these homes in Baltimore are raised in fucking poverty, even though, believe it or not, Baltimore is actually one of the most well-off cities in the country. Top 5, top 10 or top 5, actually.
Oh, wow.
My boy Ern, who's in the chat, we went over this shit. So why is it that you got all these guys, black boys and black young men, still hanging on the corners? It's simple. You're not hiring their asses. See, people don't like to get down to the nitty gritty of shit. You know why you got some type of males, as Cerulean would call derelict? Because nobody's hiring them.
Mm-hmm.
You could go down Greenmount to York Road till you get from downtown to the damn city county border, right by Panera Bread. And majority of the people that are employed in some of these stores are black females. So when you don't hire a certain demographic, guess what they're going to do? They're going to linger. They're going to be malignant like a goddamn cancer cell. Until, guess what? I got to eat or I got to do something to make some money. See, people don't tell the truth. Like everything you do in this fucking life, when it comes to mating, dating, when it comes to survival, when it comes to eating, when it comes to taking a goddamn shit in the toilet, you need some money. But you don't want to tell the truth. You ain't hiring people. You ain't hiring none of these boys. You're sure as shit not educating them. Shout out to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. When how the fuck is it that you have a whole community of boys and they can't, and only 10% of them at the 8th grade can read on level?
Mhm.
And then you wonder why they're going to be hit up for criminals. You don't see anybody protesting or breaking a goddamn window, a chair through a window, about how your fucking boys are locked up at an alarming rate, male or female. But yet, I'm one of the few people to go in front of these people and say, "What are you doing for our boys?" If I took what's called go to CrimeStat, you take a log of of all your offenders for each month. If 85% of my fucking or 75% of my fucking offenders are black males between the ages of 15 to 22, then there's something wrong. We got to take action. Because for some reason in the black community, we don't believe shit is an emergency when it happens to a black man. When I'm promoting Get These Boys, I even told my ex, the first rule of becoming a man is being on a journey. You know why you need a journey? Because sometimes you need to see the world as what you think it is. Sometimes you need to see the world as a much fucking bigger place than where you live currently.
Mhm.
And when it comes to travel, the black man is the least. That's why I said 2 years in the military would do most black men good, because it takes you out of a gynocratic rule.
Mhm.
It takes you off that mother's tit. You're going to be judged like a man through men, which is another rule of masculinity and the rites of passage. You can't be called a man because your mom or your girlfriend said so. You got to be judged through other men. But go ahead, continue.
All right, thank you. Let me find it.
I was a little wild, so I went into the Marine Corps to get a little discipline before I went in the police department.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I came out of the Marine Corps, I went straight into the police department.
Mm-hmm.
Sound like something I just said, huh?
So you didn't think about going to college at that time?
Nope, I did college while I was in my undergrad while I was working.
Oh, okay, I got you. And and did you like being a Marine?
I love being a Marine. Marine was great. I don't know why anybody has a problem with boot camp or anything else. It was wonderful.
That's interesting, right? Because
look at the culture. They push this.
Well, the guys who tell the truth about what happens in police forces, well, they never fit in the first place. So that's why I'm partly asking these questions. And I get the sense that no, you didn't mind that kind of aura of the Marines, cops, like that's what you grew up in. You initially you had no issues with that, right?
Yeah, I voted Republican.
I heard we were talking before the show. I hear you now listen to the Young Turks.
I love the Young Turks.
Oh, hey, all right. So we're not voting Republican anymore?
Nope.
All right. God bless. He's a member, actually. He's my boss. I'm interviewing my boss here. Michael, you get into the police force, and I assume that for a long time, how long?
And nobody calls it the police force, it's the police department.
What was that?
Mhm.
At least 5 years, not 6.
Uh-huh.
The big irony, maybe I hope everybody uses that word wrong, so maybe it's just coincidence.
Uh-huh.
But I went into narcotics. And usually when you go into narcotics, you kind of dive deeper down that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually
It's easy. It's easy for him to go to narcotics. He's white.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started to climb out.
Okay, so before I get into the whole of narcotics, tell me all the different positions you were in the police department.
Sure. So you did the academy.
Mm-hmm.
After the academy, I went to Gilmore Homes, which is where Freddie Cray was arrested. I walked foot there.
The Western District.
I had no idea what he was doing either. We walk around the hood. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I went to the Southern District in an area called Pigtown and an area called Cherry Hill. That's all. It's only a few blocks south of Gilmore Homes. Same kind of environment, light and office problems that come with it.
Right.
Was always trying to go to the Northern District because I lived in PA. Finally got my transfer to the Northern District.
Pause it. You know why he wanted to go to the Northern, which is my district, right?
I wonder why.
It's a good amount of white people here.
Oh! Ooh. That's exposed.
And then the Northern District also has probably the second highest tax base besides the Northeast. The Northeast District is where you have Morgan State, where you have Lock Raven, part of Cold Spring, Hillen, all that area, Dutch Village. Northern District is also the second biggest district, the first being the Northeast. And the Northeast is fucking busy. The land space, put it to you this way, the Northern is so big, you can fit the Eastern and Western here and still have space. Western District is not, or the Eastern is not that big. But continue.
This place called Mount Washington, if you've been there. And that was like, where am I? This is Baltimore. Like I'm driving down Cross Country Boulevard.
Oh yeah. Let me give you an example of Mount Washington. That's where a lot of your affluent white people go to school, like predominantly white schools. Predominantly, you have Gilman, which is a private school not too far from there. One of my favorite cigar shops is over there. It's very affluent. You can't live in Mount Washington without money. You have to know people to get in there. To the school, to get into the elementary and middle school, you have to know somebody. To get into anything in Mount Washington, you have to. It's super ritzy, cross country, which is a gated community with a security officer in the front, with their own little shop. It's like their Chanel stores and shit like that. It's gated. So it's like it's very funny. It's very funny why he wanted to go to the Northern District, because he wanted to get away from the Negro population. Okay. Continue.
Citizens out mowing the lawn, and so I'm like, well, these are the same people as me. I'm not gonna mess with these people. So I had to get stats. You have to get your rep, get everything that you're gonna bring back to show you did something. So I can't arrest the judge's son that's walking around there. I'm not gonna jack him up and search him, right? So I would go to the Park Heights and to the black neighborhood, and I would get my arrest there so that I can make my supervisors happy, because we all knew I wasn't going to arrest anybody in Mount Washington.
Wow. God damn, that's interesting. That part of the story I hadn't heard before, right? So, and for those of you who aren't familiar with how Baltimore works, the suburbs are perfectly lovely, right?
And areas of the city.
And areas of the city, right? And so, but there are certain parts of the city where, I've always made fun of Baltimore. Right now, I feel bad about making fun of Baltimore because I lived there for 6 months, and I lived in DC for 3 years, and my friends lived in Baltimore, so we used to go.
So that means he doesn't fucking know Baltimore, idiot. He sounds like a goddamn idiot, doesn't he? Continue.
Wait, before we go on, I don't want to be distractive. Somebody post something on the chat room. Missing if I advise just for the sake of conversation, can you remove that? Miss American Nigger put something on here.
Well, something about Trump catching COVID.
I don't want to see it right now. Remove that for now. Remove that. And the reason why I'm saying this, because we try and focus on the subject matter. What does this have to do with what we try to talk about police department? You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody handle it, please. Let's continue. But and for future people that's moderators and all, please don't. We try to stay topic. Another show we talk about that or something else, but do not do this during the stream because that just distract everything.
And I'm gonna tell you, Trump getting COVID is not a good sign for. You don't want your leaders to get sick or any type of illness.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, for the sake of future streams for everybody's moderators or not, do not post anything that's something that's. I mean, it's important, but not now. You get me? We want to look into things before we discuss other things. Can we be fair? All right, let's continue.
Good part. Although I got to be honest with you, I was legitimately scared. Like, there's only two places I've ever been scared: North Philly and Baltimore. Right? And so it's when people look at you super aggressively.
Of course he's scared because he doesn't want to be around black people. Just say you're scared of black people because he believes the stereotypes.
As you, on the other hand, I'm not naive, right? Like, so there are some situations that are dangerous, right? But that's not the part I used to make fun of. I feel like in Baltimore, there's mutants. And then we were driving by a hospital one day, and there was like a dude with 2 heads or something and 3 arms. And it turns out that there actually was a hospital with genetic defects. And they would I was like, no, I can't believe it. There are mutants in Baltimore, right? Baltimore is a fascinating, fascinating place. Anyway, so.
Pause that shit. Pause that shit.
Wait, on the back, I don't make fun of people with genetic.
You ever notice that this motherfucker never been on any black circuits?
Bro, it goes back to, remember that you told me about DJ Vlad last month?
Mm-hmm. And what happened? And what happened a month after? What happened a month after?
These same fucking rappers from I forgot his name, Lord Jamal and also complain out how they not build an audience, but you pumped up this motherfucker, this Caucasoid, wherever he's European Jew, wherever he calls himself. You build him up to a point where he just exploiting you while you up here begging for people to support you.
But when I said it right about 2 months earlier, everybody looked at me like I was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Does Zaltz want to know what the fuck he talking about?
Y'all better hit Charles Bolton and probably myself Cash App, man, because this ain't no joke up here, man. He talked about this a month ago. And lo and behold, now we find him on the news, on YouTube and all other podcasts.
Before anybody else talked about it, I put him out on blast about a month or 2 ago. Put him out on blast. But yet, I'm giving you foresight before it even happens.
Before it even happened. You gotta put some respect on this motherfucker Officer Law's name. Real talk.
But Charles doesn't know what he's talking about. I know culture vulture and exploitation when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got this motherfucker who claimed he lived here for 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
And you going down making fun of sick people in a hospital? You're making fun of and most likely you're making fun of people near probably Kennedy Krieger, where a lot of the children go who have mental and physical illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, these are the motherfuckers you want to get your information from? These are the motherfuckers, right?
Mm-hmm. Charles that told you a bunch of stuff. That you, like you said, you crazy, man. Oh, we talking about I love dudes black. I respect this. And lo and behold, Lord Jamal now found he got betrayed by the same caucus that he took under up. Build him up. Then build himself and his other brothers.
I told you before, his Rolodex is probably worth millions.
Man. And here's a funny thing. They talk about, well, this dude has a black wife. Fuck that. Why are you up a Caucasoid and you haven't built your own shit? I mean,
he has a black wife. So did the Portuguese and Dutch when they took your ass from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the fuck that mean? I mean, it gets back into, like, when you look at Michael Wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why hasn't he been on any black platforms? He's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on Young Turks. He's been on all these different white platforms talking about policing in Baltimore and all this. But you're talking to the people who don't even live here.
Mm-hmm.
6 months, you don't know shit about this city. But once again, you benefit off the city. You don't talk about You don't talk about the fucking all male school that has 100% graduation rate. You don't talk about how much money comes through the ports of Baltimore. But all you motherfuckers want to take advantage of that goddamn harbor. You want to go to a fucking Orioles or Ravens game. You want to talk about the crime, but guess what? You want to go downtown where the money makers are going. You want to enjoy that fucking nightlife. But they want to laugh at people who are in pain and sick. You're right, Iori. They want to laugh at people who are pain. You want to laugh at people who are addicted to a drug 30 fucking years ago that your people put in here. Continue, please.
Yeah, I'm about to now.
Shoulders. So anyway, but so when you're in the white areas, like everybody knew. It wasn't like Mike Wood Jr. decided, oh no, I'm not arresting any white people. Like the cops in that area, you know that, oh shoot, I might run into a judge's kid, so I'm gonna get in trouble if I knock on the wrong door. Or did you even think, like, did all the cops there assume, like, it's not even an issue? Of course we're not gonna go and, you know, if there's a guy standing on a street corner in a nice suburb, or again, it's not a suburb in that case, it happens to be part of the city, you're not going to go stop and frisk him, right? It's preposterous. You would never do that. You would never do that. No. Isn't that amazing, right?
He wouldn't. Hold up. He wouldn't. I did. There's plenty of people in the nice places in a nice. We literally have $1 million homes where I've made arrests on people who were millionaires.
Which is that it's just part of the assumption that this is what you do. This is, you go at and it's institutional racism to its core, right? Okay, so now when you're in narcotics, what turned you around? What made you? What was your epiphany where you were like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what are we doing here?"
Sure. So after the Northern District is when I went to the enforcement level of narcotics. So the enforcement level goes out and does street rips, kind of does whatever people want you to do to get people off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the emotional and moral change happened when I would watch the drug dealers. So I would watch them, I would sit in covert, and I would hide in vans or in buildings. I would sit there for like 13, 14 hours a day because I had to get up before they opened and I couldn't leave until they left.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're sitting there, you're watching everything he does, not just seeing him at his worst. So your whole time that you're a cop, you see everybody at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm watching him sell drugs, he'll get up and sell drugs. And then like one time I saw him run back, get all excited because a car was coming. And I'm thinking, oh, here's the re-up. This is going to be big. He runs down and he gets his baby out of the car. And he kind of like tells everybody, before he did that, he told everybody else to go away. So he gets his baby out of the car and he takes it in the house and makes sure everything is good. And then he comes back out.
Matter of fact, pause it for a fucking minute.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, I love Cerulean, but I had to jump on his ass a little bit about this. Because this is the reason why I'm so glad we brought this fucking shit up here. So not only did this motherfucker work in the same goddamn department, he literally worked in the same fucking district. So you can't bullshit me. So you couldn't go down Hamden, where first and foremost, if you want to make fun of somebody, you need to make fun of them white boys down Hamden who are literally inbred. And guess what? It's a total white and junky neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Where you got more motherfuckers stabbing and shooting each other than a little bit. Where I had a call for a fucking white girl who was 14, 15 years old with her 18-year-old boyfriend. No, he was 17. And I'm looking for the girl. I track her down and she's in a fucking house with some person who's on hospice, and they literally have human feces on the goddamn floor. Because her nurse practitioner had to change the person so much.
The shit
and she had to, instead of having, and then the sick ass person didn't let the person know that they needed to be changed again, that they defecated on the floor. But they won't talk about the Hamden part. where you literally got the inbreds. They won't talk about that part. But you couldn't make a lockup there for drugs, right? Well, you got people who are on fentanyl, crystal meth, weed, coke, heroin. That's why growing up in Baltimore, when you see a white person in a black neighborhood, you ain't visiting cousins. You're looking for drugs, even if they don't even have them.
Yeah.
But you could, yeah. Have I made drug lockups in Glenwood and McCabe and Ready Avenue? Sure. But I made some in Hampton as well. Have I had to lock up a judge's son? Yes. And I had to use force to do it because the motherfucker didn't want to go peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
So dismiss me with that bullshit. Where I had to lock up people on domestics. Some guy, oh, he makes some dollars. He makes over six figures, mid six figures, hitting his wife. This is the reason why I told Cerulean and others, you can't bullshit me, especially if in the same department. And this is the first time we listened to this together, so it's a shock to me too. You were in the Northern too, okay? So I know what the fuck this area like the back of my motherfucking head.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lie to me. Go ahead, finish this.
To make money, but he's not another. He's just one of us doing something different. I would smell the city. I would hear the conversations, as people cooked, and if people are next to me, they don't know I'm there, but I hear them. I hear their conversations, and I hear they're talking about what the police are doing, and I can hear it. It's like I was there unseen, but I was in their community, whether they knew it or not, and it just felt wrong. I felt like I should go and say hi, instead of running over and locking people up. It's weird. And I had a particular guy who was younger, and he was selling marijuana. All he did was sell marijuana, which we all know isn't going to hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. And he would go out. He was young, had a kid, and he would sell weed to make some money. And then we would lock him up. But then he would have the record, and he would go out there and try to make some money for his kid because he needed diapers. And when we'd be locking him up again, and I'd interview him, and he would cry, and he'd tell me his stories, and like, what the heck are we doing? What are we doing? This isn't right. This isn't service. This isn't protecting. I am an active participant in tearing this kid's life down because somebody made a stupid law that doesn't make any sense.
Right. I've had this experience a couple times in my life. Even talking to Jesus, who's our director, longtime director, he grew up in East LA, and he said, look, in our context, the dude who got a job with the electric company climbed up on the poles and made a little bit more money than the other guys at the electric company, and the electric company was a really good job. That was the top of the line. So in that context, nobody thought about going to Harvard or getting their PhD or whatever, right? We just thought, man, wouldn't it be amazing if you could be the guy climbing up on the pole at the electric company, right? And I know when I was doing Big Brother program up at Columbia, when I was going to law school, and it's not the best part of town there either in New York, Washington Heights and stuff. And I realized, look, a lot of the kids told me people sell drugs because what else are they going to do? They literally didn't know any other options. It's not like somebody sat them down and said, okay, if you get really good grades, you could become a doctor or an accountant, and it's not like there was a ton of educational opportunity. There was this, and they just they had all the choices in the world, and they decided, oh no, I'm going to be a bad guy and I'm going to sell drugs. And they're like, how else would I make money? I literally don't know what else to do, right? And so once you get that perspective, you get it, right? How many of the cops that you work with and you think overall, based on your experience, understand that?
I think a significant portion that grow up in the environment understand it, but they seem to still hold that I think it comes from the institution, that whole pick you up by yourself by the bootstraps thing. Mm-hmm. And they're not seeing that these kids don't have bootstraps. So especially in where the jail is in East Baltimore, you have Perkins Homes next to it, and look up. It's the wall of the jail is a block away from that neighborhood. And the only person they see that has any success is a dealer. He has a car, he has a girlfriend, probably the best looking girl in the area. He goes out and he does things, and he has respect in the neighborhood. And if his dad got into the prison cycle, then he's actually, his family members in some of these neighborhoods, in Freddie Gray's neighborhood, it was like 30% of the males or something were in Baltimore City Jail. And so they're looking at the jail. It's like they can see their future. And that's all there is. Project Jail. And it's just cycle.
You're right.
Pause it.
Go back.
Okay. If you're still in the chat room, I want you to really put your ear to the fucking speaker or the headphones and give me a woo. Woo! Because I'm about to go in on this bullshit. Deep breaths. Drink my sweet tea. Take a good puff or two off of the cigar. And we about to go in. I'm so tired of this fucking thing called the white man's burden. Why the fuck do you have big brothers who don't relate to these children? The only reason you even came to Baltimore is because that's the only place to give you a job.
Exactly.
The only reason you came to a department like this because it's the only place you could get a job. You couldn't have worked for Baltimore County. But yet, I'm tired of them treating us like black people are these poor, misguided souls that they need to correct. Not all of us are criminals. Very few of us, actually. When you look at the circumstances, did I not answer why a lot of those guys had to sell drugs before we even began this recording? See, if we're going to talk about institutional racism, the reason why it's still an institution is because the same motherfucker's been running it. The more you have people who benefit off of your struggles run the shit, the less you get to be in power. People get mad at me. People may get mad at me. Oh, you talk shit about black women. No, I don't. The reason why a lot of you want me to shut the fuck up is because you don't want me to give around the dark, dirty secrets. Yeah. That's the reason why. You don't want me to talk about how the black woman fits a double minority status. We hired X amount of black people and we hired X amount of women. So guess what? They can hire 5 women and mark off 10 fucking spots when it comes to minority hiring practices. When you go down the street and you go to the Family Dollar, you go to the Dollar General, Rite Aid, CVS, the only damn time you see one male in there and he's probably carrying all the heavy boxes. And you wonder why there's a line wrapped around the fucking corner. Because they're not hiring young black men. And let's face it, a lot of these women who are doing the hiring are not hiring them anyway. So survival being survival, what it is, you're going to do shit to feed your family. What's one of the dependents? Stop being afraid of women. Stop living your life and your masculinity according to women. So as soon as you try to make it somewhere, somebody's going to shame you. Your mama's going to say, well, you need a job. But yet, it's okay for that chick to be a full-time student and the whole fucking community supports her. When the only time you get support is when you're coming home from jail. While you're in jail, people putting more money on your books in jail than they did in your books in college. If you're trying to get a goddamn textbook for college, you pretty much on your goddamn own. But and see, I keep telling people, what the system is entailed. Like, stop acting like these people are ignorant about your circumstances. I'm going to ask you this one question. Would any of the motherfuckers on that platform right now trade their whiteness for your blackness? And the answer is no, because they know what type of benefits they get. Continue.
All right. To the core issue here, as it relates to this, how much do the cops see not just the drug dealers, but the entire community as the enemy?
Always.
Always.
Always. So you are separated. So one of the realizations I came to think of is we even have this like ingrained in our symbolatry. So you think of the blue line, thin blue line thing. Mm-hmm. So you have the thin blue line, the black above and the black below. The black above or below, whatever, one of those blacks stands for the bad guys. One of those stands for the good guys. But when you're in blue, you're neither. You're not a part of either one of those communities. You're something entirely different. And everybody is a them. That's why when they do something hideous, like what they did to Tamir Rice, they group around and they still say we didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. So I read what you wrote about Tamir Rice, but obviously I want everybody else to know. I know why I was so angered by that, because they shot the 12-year-old kid in literally 2 seconds. What do you think went wrong there? What should they have done instead?
Everything went wrong there. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't approach a suspected armed person like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't shoot like that before you identify something. Everything was wrong. Everything. So if you were to handle that properly, you would you park a block or two away. You approach on foot, keeping cover and concealment, so you could get closer, maybe to a point where you could yell at him, maybe even observe him for a second without him seeing you. And when he pulls out the gun, he goes tink tink tink. Oh, it's a damn BB gun.
Mm-hmm.
Hey kid, put the BB gun down. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, drive up there, slam on the brakes like it's Dukes of Hazzard or something, jump out of the car. And I mean, he had to be pulling the slack out of that trigger before he was out of the car to shoot somebody that fast. When the kid doesn't even have the gun in his hand, he's only lifted up as a 12-year-old boy. And then what does he do afterwards? He sits there like he hit a deer as Tamir is dying, gargling for his breath for a long time. And the cop does nothing because that's not a human to him. It's not.
Pause it.
Something.
Pause it.
It's incredibly discouraging. And then,
Number one, I'm going to explain something about the thin blue line. The thin blue line isn't a us versus them. The thin blue line is just like the reason why you wear a badge. It's a shield, but it's called a badge. The reason why is because you're the thin blue line of protection. You're going to be the few people who are going to protect people, regardless if they're the suspect or the victim. Are there times we gotta protect the suspect? Yes. There is no us versus them because we're all in this motherfucking planet together. That may be for him and his ilk, but that's not what it was representative. The blue line is the little line that's going to protect everybody and treat them fairly, and that's what it represents. Number two, finally, there's something that I can agree with him on. But Tamir Rice, you're too damn close, and you're too trigger happy. Now, have people painted real firearms to make them look like toy guns? Yes. Would I have gotten out on foot? Maybe, maybe not. Would I have still used my car? Yeah, because if it's a park, you don't have too much fucking cover. And for all you who are not trained in tactics, both military and police, there's a difference between cover and concealment. Concealment is something that you cannot see past or through. Meaning if I'm hiding in high bushes and I'm crouching, low crawling, you're not going to see me. But can it take a bullet? No. Cover is something that can take a round or several. Meaning the engine block of your car will be considered cover. Mm-hmm. Behind a large tree or rock or stone will be cover, or wall will be cover. Preferably, you want to be several yards away with your loudspeaker, which is probably going to be in your vehicle. Hopefully your loudspeaker works, but that's another subject. Mm-hmm. And you give them commands. You observe, like he said, you give them some distance because time. When you have distance, you have time. You have time to react. You can take other options instead of jumping out the car like a goddamn fucking mafia drive-by hit and just blast. See, this is the reason why, even before they came out in 2015, 21st Century Policing, when they had a council of policing, somebody put it in there, 21st Century Policing. Excuse me. Final edition. As a matter of fact, you had to study that for the sergeant's test, for the written test, and the oral. You were tested on that. You had to know use of force. The more time I have, the more I can de-escalate the situation. Now, are there times when I got to just jump into the fire? Yes. But that one, you could have took more time and distance. When you have these people, see, notice they never talk about, notice you never hear anybody, even Sergeant Dorsey, she may agree of having more black police, but she doesn't want more black male police. She said it on her show. She wants black female. Yes.
So this is why I always ask the question, and she's never gonna have you on, bro. To be honest with you, because if you never sent email, I sent email.
I've sent the email. I sent my email, my number, everything to Sergeant Dorsey. Why won't you have me on your show? Because
that's why.
Because number one, she said it right there on her show. We did a fucking podcast about it. We did a live stream where she said in her mouth, she wants more police officers in the department, predominantly female, black female. So once again, you're creating another circumstance where black men don't have a job. But then you want to lay over the bodies of these black men when they when they interact with the police and use their fucking deaths as a catalyst. Once again, see, I had to tell a lot of my female friends, do black women go through shit? Hell yeah, they go through shit. Not the same shit as black men, but they go through shit. At least you will get fucking hired. What's up, Gab? Woo. See, and I'm not against black women. I just tell the truth. See, we keep on overlooking this shit. And in the first goddamn place, a black man has to justify his humanity is in his own goddamn community before he even interacts with white people. Because Baltimore is still one of the most segregated cities in America. They're trying their best to gentrify it, but it's slow, super slow. You don't build infrastructure in the black community. You don't build careers or jobs or education in the black community, but yet you want to go down and say, well, the black community, they need to pull themselves out of bootstraps. How the fuck am I going to pull up my bootstraps if I'm shoeless? But continue.
You get the rest of the Cleveland cops all rallying around him. That becomes even more discouraging. And so, what do you think about the training? Do you think that they're taught everything's a possible threat to you? Don't take any risks with your life. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Sure. So you may have even heard it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Common saying.
Yeah.
So shoot first. Take no risk. Because you can just, at least if you shoot somebody wrong, at least you're just go and be tried instead of having something happen to you. So you're immediately on the offensive. Everything is about not getting hurt. So like an officer has no responsibility to fight. You have no responsibility to take a moment risk, to hesitate. It's just as soon as you're in fear, that's actually the legal standard, is that you're in fear of your life or in defense of somebody else's life that you're in fear of. So all you have to do is be afraid. So if you're a weak person that can't do anything, it's obviously very easy to be afraid. I mean, there's people who walk around just being afraid of things walking in the street. They're afraid. And so that's all. If all you need is fear, then you're just going to pull that trigger as fast as you can.
Does this motherfucker look like like he was ever not afraid of black people?
Inside. These are all my fears. But I actually, when I read your account,
wait a minute, hold up, small pause. I know I'm cutting through this shit, and I know we got some places to go. Didn't you just hear the fucking guy talk about he was afraid of being in Baltimore? See, people don't pick up on this shit, and this is the reason why I had to do it. People don't, and I love some really to death. Don't get me wrong, I love my boy, but this is the shit that I was talking about. You got to pick up on these sudden hits. Number one, I can't judge your fear. What you fear chaos is different to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Like I said, are there times when I got to jump into the fire? Yes. There's no time. Situations dictate. Tamir Rice, you could have made time. If he's not engaging somebody with a gun, you get cover and you make commands.
Yeah.
Now, if let's say it was Tamir was actually had a real gun and was shooting, yes, you have to engage. There's no time. But since he's sitting down and doesn't have shit in his hands, you take your time.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old saying that even my father said. He said, if you ever wanted to get into a good fight, you come to Baltimore, you fight the police, and they'll beat your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We're known for fighting. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit, you had see, you have a lot of these guys, like himself, who's never been around black people, who doesn't understand the culture.
Yeah.
What do they always say in the X-Men? Things you fear, you start to hate. You don't know shit about the culture. You don't know shit about why you see a bunch of people on the corner, because black people are more social.
Mm-hmm.
And easily, if you don't want anybody loitering, hey, all you got to do is kindly say, hey, I can't tell you nothing if you're walking and talking. And people be like, oh, I bet, good luck.
Yeah.
But once again, because I'm part of that culture,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in it. If I seen one of my homeboys or family members, yes, we're going to stop and talk.
Mm-hmm.
But because you don't understand the culture, which is how long have I told you? A lot of these incidents is because of lack of understanding the culture. You allowing the city council, you're allowing the department, the mayor, the commissioners, the chiefs to hire people who have no understanding of the culture. Yes, it may be black culture, but Baltimore has its own, just like it's different from DC. But because we're black, we tend to get along because we understand the culture. See, it's not a us or them, because majority of police, like hell, we had a guy who's got 28 years. He used to coach. He actually coached some guys who went to pro for football. Hell, I coached a guy who was second in the nation in college for wrestling. You never hear the narratives of, hey, Officer Faulkner, how did you push a 98 percentile rate of graduation for young black boys at your old school of Lake Clifton? Because I was on their ass. Because I had to show them there's at least one male adult that gives a fuck about your future. But continue.
Than I suspected, right? So I suspected that they were taught pull the trigger if there's any risk to your well-being, etc. But I didn't suspect to what degree the cops viewed themselves as an occupying force. I knew that they thought, hey, it's us versus them, but like I thought that they would think, well, the other guy, I mean, obviously he's got kids, he's got a wife, he lives as a human being, like I live as a human being, that there would be some degree of empathy. You're saying that is just very few and far between?
Sure, in an aspect, I could be projecting. I could be just talking about myself. Maybe I lack complete empathy.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see anybody acting any different than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not seeing them that way. You're not.
In the Northern District, you're full of shit. Because if you knew some of the people I know in the Northern District, which I could tell you didn't interact with the people in the Northern District, you full of shit. You lying piece of shit. You lying piece of shit. Once again, I'm going to call him out on his view. You lying piece of shit.
Nobody
Go ahead.
does those things effectively. So when you're afraid, you go to the one you know will stop it.
Mhm.
So you have the policy there, but it doesn't mean anything.
So some people are worried about the militarization of police, but you said something interesting, which is that you actually think that they could use a little bit of military training. What do you mean by that?
Well, so from the Marine Corps, I was taught to shoot proficiently. I'm not worried about using my weapon. I know if I need to use it, I will be able to use it effectively, and I will be able to do it better than the other guy is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have that fear. It was just that if this goes down, I know what to do. I've been trained for this. It's cool. No big deal. I'm not going to set my boundaries, but if he crosses this line, I'm going to give him a line. If he crosses that line, then I'm going to act. But it's going to be a decent line.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say pretty much the same about everyone else that I served with that had served in combat arms. Let's just say the military. Some people in the military don't repair satellites and stuff. But
Right.
Combat arms.
Mm-hmm. And so you think the guys that served in combat arms had a little bit more restraint than the average cop?
Yeah, because you're not afraid. That's the thing, is you have fear.
Bullshit.
So if you have the
You wait a
fear-
minute. Wait a minute. You in the Marine Corps, and you talking about y'all show restraint? Once again, I've served with you motherfuckers, and y'all was shooting every goddamn thing that moves out of a bush. But what do I know? Number one, policing is paramilitary. It's not the complete military because you're not in it. It has a structure and its respects and its traditions from the military. So yes, you have to be proficient with your gun. Do we always go to a call having our guns out? No. A lot of times we're trying to de-escalate the situation to, one, avoid writing, two, to avoid an into a fight, three, to avoid shooting or stabbing or doing something heinous to a motherfucker. I would even say heinous. If your life's threatened, your life's threatened. You do what you got to do to get out the situation. 90% of that shit, 98% of that shit, really, we're talking to people. See, a lot of people don't understand. This is how patrol works. Somebody calls 911, something upset at my day. Car stolen, somebody stole my tag, somebody broke into my house. If you have a B&E, yes, your gun's going to be out because you got to clear the house, make sure the suspects are not there. Once you put your gun in the holster, tell the person, the victim, the house is cleared and everything's safe. They come through. You talk to them. You try to keep them calm. You try to get a list of whatever's going on. You take a report. Sometimes you got family members who call us because you have a family member who has mental illness or they drink too much and they want to fight the whole goddamn family. If it's a subject, when it comes to mental illness, we cannot arrest them because they're not mentally stable enough to be found justified or cognizant of what they're doing. So we try to take them to a hospital to emergency petition them to get them emergency evaluated. Sometimes you're there because there's a dispute between a boyfriend, girlfriend, a husband, wife, which is called a domestic incident. Now, if somebody threw blows or pointed a gun or pointed a knife or cut, stab, shot, done something that's violent, then you have domestic violence. As a matter of fact, you got to write the domestic violence for the domestic incident report. Then you have to write the incident report. Then if the suspect fled, you have to go to the court commissioner to write up a warrant. So there's a lot of fucking writing. So you're not always so gung-ho because you have to be actually, the word I'm looking for, cerebral. You have to think on your feet a lot. So a lot of these calls, these people who get up on these little programs to speak, the police are so gung-ho, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I used to do when I wanted to clear the corner? I take my S-Band tune out, I start swinging it, and I talk to people. We talk about the Ravens, we talk about Madden, we talk about Street Fighter. Hell, you'd be surprised how many drug dealers are comic book fans when you talk to them. And not everybody you talk to is a drug dealer who lives in the hood. Sometimes I'll take a picture, I'll take a gun magazine out and they'll be sitting right there. They'll come, oh shit, what type of gun is that? Oh man, da, 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 da. And then we start talking about, yeah, I used to shoot this one under the military. Oh, for real? You think they'd take me? Yeah, this is how you got to do it. You got to get your record expunged. If you have a record, if you don't, you're good to go. They'd be like, for real? As Cerulean once picked up, and I love him for saying this, do you like guns? Yeah. Do you like to travel? Yeah. Do you like bitches? Yeah. Well, I got a job for you. It's called the United States Military. Do you know how many times just talking to people?
The best sell pitch ever. Gets them every time.
Do you know how many people I've actually helped get into the military? And they said, thank you for saving my goddamn life, for getting me out this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But you never hear this in any other platform, do you? The only other platform you'll hear about this is Ceruleans. On a consistent basis. Besides my own is Ceruleans.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're not like he's actually truthful, when you're not afraid, and let me put it to you this way. When he talks about fear, it's not being afraid, because yes, there's gonna be some oh shit moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like we breaking into a house and you get a break in for a house and you got to go clear the house and you have a person jump out and you're like, oh shit. Ask me how I know, because that's what happened. But we had to get inside of a house and I had to take command of the situation and I had to lead the squad with the bunker because a child called and said, my daddy has a knife to my mommy's throat. You going into that damn house.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God nobody was dead. Thank God nobody was cut. No officers, no suspects. No victims were harmed. Suspect fled, wrote the warrant, came back a week later, locked his ass up. See, when I talk about policing, when I first started compared to now, you see things differently. Where, yeah, when I first got on, it was Friday night fights. Each time you came to a call, people would stand toe to toe trying to fight you because they didn't want to go to jail. Well, and you try to de-escalate the situation then and be like, look, man, why did we got to do this? Come on, just turn around, did what you did. And sometimes it's the women too. You did what you did. Come on, you got to come with us. We investigated on this evidence. You're going to be under arrest. No, I'm gonna fight. Now I got to do what I got to do. Whether if it's throwing you, punching you, kicking you, putting you in a very painful submission lock. Okay. Now, if you bring a weapon to the thing, yes, my gun's coming out. If you try anything against me with a weapon, I'm gonna shoot you. Get over it. Continue.
Mm-hmm. Give me two and you don't. I'm gonna love you after I shoot you, then I might, call ambulance after.
No, you don't might, you have to.
Oh yeah.
This per constitution, per policy, you must render aid.
Oh, you have to render aid, okay.
You have to render aid.
Mm. Makes sense.
Regardless if you try to kill me or not, I still have to show you empathy. That's called being a fucking professional. But continue.
All right.
There's no fear. You hesitate.
Right.
That's what you need to do. You need to hesitate. That's our job.
One of the things that I say on the show is the biggest crime in America is disrespecting a cop. Like, it's not actually on the books, right? There's no law that says you're not allowed to disrespect police officers.
Assault on police is
run someone over.
books.
You could rape someone.
By the way, assault on police is not even a felony. It's a misdemeanor. So
For you,
dismiss me with that shit.
As long as
Learn your fucking laws. Continue.
Okay.
cops show up, right? But if you're in any way don't follow a command, a world of hurt's coming your way. Am I overstating that, or is that roughly right?
No, I mean, there's a thing where people say you get locked up on a humble. So if you ask
I don't know that. What is
if you ask a dealer or you ask somebody, a 16, 24-year-old black male in the ghetto, they've been locked up on humble once before. And that means that they're being humbled. So they ran their mouth a little bit, so they got a disorderly, or they did something, so you're writing them a full parking ticket or moving violation or something like that. So it's
There's
just,
even a term for it. I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to humble you. By the way, if you humbled a kid in the suburbs and you put a criminal record on him, that'd be a huge deal.
I imagine that citation would be revoked
No, it wouldn't.
before you hit.
No, it wouldn't.
Whereas if you do it in the community, what power does that kid have to fight back against?
None. That's why you do it.
It's so frustrating. And your first thing is ringing through my head. Did you think the black to the whole country? Did you think the black community all across the country was lying all this time? No, this is what they experienced. They know it. You don't know it because you didn't live that. Because when the cops show up in the nice white neighborhoods with the streams, they don't go and do the same things. Yeah,
Going to.
wow, it's incredible to hear from someone who lived it. So okay, let's talk about how in the world can we fix it? I mean, how endemic do you think it is to cops all over, not just in Baltimore? And then what can we do about it?
I think all the urban cities are the same. So I think if you're talking about Philly, you're talking about Cleveland, you're talking about Atlanta, Oakland, all these places are the same. I can't imagine anything different. We've actually had officers from New Orleans that came after Katrina, and they just fit in just fine. If somebody from Philly and Boston, they can all come in, everything will be fine. So it's endemic. It's the entire system, and I think it's actually reflective of the entire nation. I think it's just a microcosm in the police department where, because you have that power, you can live out that racism that's in our society, and you don't even have repercussions for it or worry about it whatsoever, because that's what everyone else is doing. So when I first thought about it and was first talking to people, I think the first thing we need to lead with is empathy. Is we just have to try to see things from the other people's side, which is going to be hard to teach people, but we really need to focus on that. That's just another human, and tear down these walls. We have flags, and we have, I'm Republican or I'm Democrat, or I have this and I have that, and nations, Confederate flags, American flags. We take all these things and we build them up, and we let walls divide all of our society. We're all the same. We have to tear down these walls, and we have to start empathizing with other human beings. And for policy, we have to start policing with science. So, in Colorado and in Portugal, they lowered their juvenile usage of marijuana. How did they lower their juvenile usage of marijuana?
They decriminalized it.
So if you want to lower, then you legalize and you control. So you're not actually trying to legalize. You're continuing right now to feed the prison industrial complex. You're not worried about whether you're actually lowering the rates or not, because we know how to lower the rates. You're just afraid to do it because you have something else going on. And as I thought about it more, how can we do this? I'm never going to be in charge. Somebody that speaks like me is never going to be in charge. So the first thing we have to do is, I'm going to sound like a shill, but we have to get money out of politics. Because if we don't do that, if Wolfpack doesn't win, we don't have the politicians that we need to take the risk on somebody that talks like that.
God bless, man. If I had the soundboard here, I'd do a crowd cheer. Okay, so I'm obviously with you on that. But how would you put it into the training? Would you put literally empathy? Hey, you know what?
Hold up, pause it. Pause it.
In the community, and whatever it is.
In Baltimore, if it's under 10 grams, you get a citation. You don't get arrested. If it's over 10 grams, you're subject for arrest. The reason why I say keep weed illegal? Number one, Hey, what's up, Linda? Woo. You wanted me for all these years to lock up young black boys selling weed, right? CDS distribution, Schedule 2. No, Schedule 1. Sorry, marijuana Schedule 1. Believe it or not, cocaine Schedule 2. So you wanted me to lock up all these boys and young men selling weed, have it on the record. But yet, when you come out with all these farms, you will not allow these young black boys to at least capitalize on the business aspect of selling it. But you'll let a bunch of middle class white guys become literally millionaires overnight. So once again, you're still creating the same process, the same bullshit, the same economic disparity, and now you're even increasing it. Unless you're going to give them the opportunity and the surplus and the government stimulus to do the same as these middle class white guys do it, keep it illegal. Because you're not going to let you see people think, oh, I get to smoke it all the time. What's the point of smoking it if you're not going to make money off of it? You're still going to have people selling weed on the side anyway. I would be totally in agreement if you gave them the same opportunities you give everybody else. And by the way, they were going into training.
Yeah.
They have the training. That's why they have Outward Bound, where you get with teenagers from middle school and high school, and you do different activities and teamwork expos with these kids. As a matter of fact, you never hear him talk about the same stuff that I talk about, actually being a coach and going inside the schools with these kids. You'll never hear him talk about how one of his wrestlers had to live with him because his mother put him out temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never talk about how you volunteered your time, meaning you don't get paid. You don't talk about how a lot of these departments around the country are eliminating PAL centers because they want to put cops back on the street. For a lot of us who are almost 40, our first interaction with a cop was not from a criminal or from some type of 911 call. It was because of a PAL center. A lot of you have been coached in football, basketball, wrestling, sometimes even boxing, through a PAL center, and you didn't even realize the guy coaching you was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
So what about tutoring some of these kids? What about having, instead of a school to prison pipeline, have a school to law enforcement pipeline, a school to military pipeline, a school to fire department pipeline, a school to engineering pipeline? See, all these people give up all these vague responses, but men like me give answers and solutions. What did we say earlier?
Mm-hmm.
2020, as fucked up as it may be, we're solution based.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
All right.
That's right. We do a picnic. We
Yes.
go to the local elementary school.
It sounds cheesy, but we do. And the reason that I really lean back on that is there was a time where the officers in the city actually get treated incredibly bad by command and by the city. And one of the examples is one of the reasons I was a cop is so I could get my degree, and they would do tuition reimbursement. So I was doing tuition reimbursement, and they cut it off like right towards the end. Just no more tuition reimbursement. So I had to start paying for the rest of it. We all complained enough, and they said, "Okay, we'll give you some tuition reimbursement, but you got to volunteer at the rec center."
Okay.
And they cop center, come on. And then I went to the rec center. My first day, I was like, "This is awesome. Like, these are good kids. This is regular life. I'm not in the middle of some kind of combat zone like I thought I was." The next time I went, I brought my daughter with me. And she came with me every single time. And we all played with the kids, and we all had a good time. And it wasn't, sure, that's not the thing that flipped the switch finally, but it played a role in that. And seeing everybody as a human and becoming more of a part of that community, because any of those kids that I was there with then, if 5-10 years down the line, I saw them on a corner, I would approach that kid a really, really different way. And if another officer would have approached that kid and jacked him up, I would have been like, whoa, no.
Because you know him. Of course, that makes a huge difference if you know the kid. That's why back in the Mayberry days, the Matlock, whatever he was called back then, Andy Griffith, in the TV show, they treat people totally different. It's not like they were going around him and Don Knotts busting heads in Mayberry, right? Because they knew everybody in Mayberry, right? And they knew that was the plumber's kid and that was the grocery store clerk's kid. So now the cops didn't want to go to the rec center. See, from my way of thinking, since I'm not a cop, I think, well, what could be wrong with the rec center? People are going to do good things. They're like, they're
Positive.
social, positive thing. Why did the other cops not want to go to the rec center?
I don't know. I mean, it's just like you don't think about integrating into the society. And not worry about it.
Maybe it makes the job easier if you don't empathize. Like,
that was my original thing. So my original thing was actually I tried to be like a RoboCop. So I tried to think I won't react. I won't see race. So that's how I will not have bad practices.
You hear this bullshit?
I will totally ignore race, and I would just focus on what we do, what police do. And eventually I realized, well, when I'm doing that, I'm not seeing the racist institution that I'm participating in because I'm blinding myself. It kind of had a backwards effect that being blind to race doesn't let you.
It's fascinating to see all this stuff confirmed and even amplified, the stuff we've been talking about on the show from a guy who was on the inside. So one more thing about the corruption. How often do cops lie for one another, including on the stand?
Yeah.
All the time?
Yeah, sure. I mean, somewhere in the city that size,
Daily.
Yeah.
Right. Was it a big deal to lie on the stand or not that big a deal?
I wouldn't do it. That was kind of my line. Like, I would cover for you until I was in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to jail for you. I don't care who you are. If I'm sitting on that stand, sorry, you're getting the truth.
Right.
You're going down. I'm going to have to say it at this point in time. But they'll lie against suspects all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say they saw things. So like a CI, if you have a confidential informant, the way our rules are done and the law is written, you have to make sure that CI has nothing on him, and you give him the money, and he goes and does the buy. You watch the whole thing. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the rule. Mm-hmm. And then you come back, you get the drug from him, you make sure he has nothing else on him, you can submit the thing, the narcotics. It's impossible to watch him. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. How are you going to watch the guy go and make a deal and come back? You can't do it. You're going to give it away.
Right.
So everybody writes it like it happened, like they watched the whole thing. And how do you watch the whole thing? You can't.
Almost none of them do actually watch the whole thing.
Or when they run, a dealer runs and he'll throw the bag, the stash, whatever. Mm-hmm. If I don't see him do it, whatever, you win. You got it. All right, we're going to try again tomorrow. But plenty of people would say they saw him drop it. And
right.
You didn't. He hit the corner. Well, no, you didn't see him do it.
Right. Yeah. So, yep. Again, unfortunately, not surprised by that. How about the black cops? Were they part of this system? Did they get discriminated against? How is that dynamic?
I think they have it extra hard. I'm putting conjecture in how they treat the citizens, but I do think, just like NWA said, they're worse as a general rule. But I've always thought that was the impression I got was because felt the same way. This is what the good guys do. It was the systematic racism that they're not recognizing either, and they would be extra harder on the black citizens because they felt like it was embarrassing their race. So like
that's interesting. Okay, I would have thought that it was to impress the other cops, like, hey, I'm with you guys. I'm not with the enemy. I'm with you guys. I'm with the good guys. But you're saying no, that it's actually more predominantly they're pissed at the other black.
Yeah, that's what it all felt like to me. So when I talk to people, granted, I'm still talking to a limited subset, but that's the impression I always got.
That's interesting. And was there much racism against the other black cops, or did you guys think, no, we're all blue?
That's the other problem. They'll say they're all blue. It's just not true. Black cops are punished more harshly. We actually had a lawsuit where they had to change the promotional system for them. The reason why I wrote some promotional guides trying to help people was because you could see that the Good Old Boy Network up top would like handpick who they wanted to be the next group of supervisors and kind of like pass the information down to them. But they weren't generally picking any black guys. They were picking the same old. That's why when you see command staff, it tends to also be, it starts to turn white. The higher rank you go, start dwindling in your minorities. And then they would have these. Okay, so I have to tell a story. That's the only way I can explain it. I was in charge of medical for a while, and there was an officer, Jermaine Cook, who was a detective in VSID, and he got off duty. He was essentially jumped in a hate crime by a bunch of white guys in the county. And when he's calling 911, he's telling them, you can hear him telling them he's an officer, and he needs, they need to stop what they're doing, and he has his badge on him, and they end up assaulting him, blinding him in one eye, and he had to go to the hospital, have all these surgeries. He finally comes back to the agency, and he's trying to come back to full duty because he's a dedicated cop. He is. But the deputy commissioner is fighting him, saying he's got to leave. He can't come in. Even though he's passing everything, he's got to get out of the agency. Even though he's a victim of a hate crime, he had his badge on him, but they're saying he didn't have his gun, so that didn't qualify him for on duty. At the same time, that same deputy commissioner is calling me and trying to get me to cover up from one of his white buddies who has a deaf hearing problem that has nothing to do with policing, so that I cannot do his medical paperwork so that he can last long enough that he gets his regular pension, because he wouldn't get that with his medical condition. Mm-hmm. So I'm pushing Jermaine out, who's a victim of a hate crime, while he's asking me to cover for his buddy. And so I raised the fist. I'm not covering for your buddy. You've lost your mind. Mm-hmm. So he just punched both of them, of course. They both went out.
Yeah. Yeah. So because it seems to me logically that it's hard to say, okay, if we're in a white neighborhood, we're not arresting anybody, we're not stopping and frisking, we're not beating anybody down. We're in a black neighborhood, we do that systematically. And now I see a black person who happens to be a cop. No, that's where I draw the line, and all of a sudden I become colorblind. That idea of the black community as the enemy has got to seep in to some degree to the blacks on the force.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it does.
Yeah,
there's no question. They're participating just as much as anybody else. We're all the same thing. We're all doing the same job, thinking that this is what is good, so we don't finish the logic cycle. So like one time I was a shift commander, and I told my guys, stop pulling over these stupid car stops. Like I would see guys that pull over a cute girl, or they would pull over an old lady or something like that. Like, look, you're not getting guns and drugs out of these cars. Stop. Mm-hmm. In Baltimore, we focus on who commits crimes in Baltimore. Who commits crimes in Baltimore? 16 and 24-year-old black males commit crimes in Baltimore. That's who you do car stops on. That's who you focus on. Makes sense to a level. Mm-hmm. And then you go, well, why are they the ones committing the crimes? So we're arresting them because they have a previous marijuana possession charge that we jacked them up on a corner for and took out of their pocket illegally. And now they're driving in their car, but they missed the court date, so they have a warrant out. Mm-hmm. So now we're locking him up for a warrant, and he's now loses his job, and he gets his license suspended. And then he's driving, and we're pulling him over, and we're locking him up for that again. So that cycle, we did. We started
Pause
that.
it. Pause it.
All right.
That's
It's amazing how the guy who benefit from the old boy system wants to have this epiphany. He became a sergeant because of the old boy system. It's like when I answered classic Ruby and Cerulean. You don't get rank because of a high profile arrest. You don't. You get rank if you pass the written and you do well at the oral. First and foremost, a lot of black cops actually treated people pretty damn fair. Are there times we had to put our foot up people's asses? Yes. And that's because the guy deserved it, because he's trying to harm us or harm somebody else who he was harming. I.e., drunk guy trying to fight his family, and you got to hit him or you got to throw him to the ground. I.e., husband or wife trying to hurt their spouse. So a lot of this stuff that he's saying, that black cops are like, you're embarrassing the race. No, black cops are more likely to shake the shit out of you and tell you, yo, get the fuck out of this corner. See, what he really doesn't want to talk about is like a lot of those white cops who never have been to Baltimore, like he said about himself, were the ones the quickest to go lock up a guy. Okay. They'll never tell you how quick they were to lock up somebody. But continue.
All right.
Completely illogical that even if you say to yourself, I'm focusing on the 1624 black males, because those guys are the ones that commit crimes. Yeah, but they're committing crimes because we push them into the cycle. If we want to stop them from committing crimes, we have to stop pushing them into a hopeless cycle.
Whereas the white guy never got jacked up on the quarter. You never found the drugs on him, even though whites smoke marijuana at the same rates, if not, or slightly more than African Americans do. And so they never missed a court date. They never had a suspended license. You never even pulled them over in the first place because you were pulling over 16 to 24-year-old black males. And then some racists will come along and say, well, you see, blacks commit more crime. Exactly. But no, well, if the only people you're looking at is black folks for crimes, you're going to find more black folks for crimes, right? God, it's a super depressing cycle. And two last things about that. One is going back to the idea of solutions. Do you think we're going to break out of it? I mean, or do we? How long can this go on? This perpetual cycle of keeping one community down that is so depressing and so oppressive. How does it change? Does it ever change?
It does change. If we stop feeding the prison industrial complex, stop buying politicians by making money off of keeping people in jail cells so they keep the cycle going, we can get the money out of politics. We can get the politicians that will say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't need your dirt money from your industrial prison complex. We can stop this and we can start making changes. We can start getting so we can decriminalize. I mean, I think decriminalize is a half measure. I think you need to go for full measure. You need to treat a medical problem. It's a medical problem, not a crime problem.
How much of the problem is drugs? If you legalize drugs tomorrow, how much of this vicious cycle do you take away?
So you have to get over the hump of what you're going to do with the drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
After you get over that hump, I mean, I think crime drops 90%. It's 90% of what I do. What I did.
90%. Isn't that amazing? This is phenomenal. Okay, and so and by the way, if you get the money out of politics, they might actually represent their communities, and then the community might say, "Hey, you know what? We're kind of tired of getting bulldozed and steamrolled, and perhaps you should look into representing us." But now, even if they technically represent the community, they know that donor money is what gets them elected. So they don't actually have to represent the voters of that community at all, and they don't, right? So, and finally, have you gotten any feedback from your fellow cops from back in the day?
Well, of course, there's a lot of troll, hate from people that are cops, but the phone calls have all been supportive.
Oh, okay. So you'll get calls from guys
people that know me. I don't think they're the least bit surprised that I said any of this. They
right.
know I've been saying a lot of this stuff. It's just suddenly somebody paid attention. I guess maybe the Freddie Gray incident had a play in that. But
and they're calling you and saying, "Attaboy, go get him."
Well, just as long as you're telling the truth, it is what it is, and we'll deal with it.
Okay. And then, but the people online, no, not exactly.
No, they throw all their hate out there.
So, well, like we said earlier, you're done with policing because
looks that way.
whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not. So definitely good luck with your PhD.
Thanks. I need it.
It's in management?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we're rooting for you. And I want to thank you on behalf of a lot of people watching who I think share my sense of relief of finally someone on the inside saying, yes, of course that's what was happening. Like, there's been this blue line, this wall of lies. Like, no, what you see with your own eyes, what you see in the data, what you see in the black community saying it over and over again, not true, not true, not true. We're the good guys. We never do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with the culture. It's just a few bad apples. For someone on the inside, the orchard, to come out and say, no, of course that's true. Of course all these problems exist. And I think that is the first step in finding out a solution, to be honest with it, so that we know the depth of the problem, so that we can begin to fix it. All right, Michael, you're the best. Thank you, man. Really, really appreciate it.
Man, that's it.
I might do. Anybody want to come up here and talk about this? Because number
Or
one,
like maybe wherever time left.
yeah. Because number one, a lot of the guys who are into policing, who've been into policing, you have a lot of great men and women who do the job.
All right, let me stop sharing this.
It's the 2 to 3% that fucks it up. You're talking about number one. Well, we trying to treat these people like a medical issue. No. The only reason y'all want to treat it like a medical issue because you found out that a lot of you motherfuckers are on drugs more than us. For the whole 80s, you demonized us. You literally put the fucking shit right there in the neighborhoods. And one thing about the former Sergeant Woods, he had a little problem with narcotics himself. But yet, if something like that were to happen to me and I'm out the department, you think I'm gonna get a bunch of interviews? Think about that shit. I want you to think about that. Are you really think that he's gonna get an interview? Like just now, the reason why I was muted for so long, we had a homeless guy walk up, talk about he needs medical attention because he got pneumonia. So while we're on the stream, I call up on the radio, get the medics. The medics are here. He's in the ammo. Got him something to drink out the back. Good to go. That's what police normally do. We don't disrespect people. You got fucked up people who disrespect people. Now, does that make it a perfect department? Fuck no. I'm one of the first motherfuckers to tell you that. Now, when it comes to policing, you gotta have community policing. Does the community want to be involved with the police? Guess what? You can't expect one side to change and you don't want to change with them. Okay? You're gonna have to need black men to step up. You're gonna need black women to support. You're gonna have to have black parents teach their kids. You don't know how many people I had to arrest actually thanked me for arresting them because it got their heads back on straight. When you listen to this guy talk about this shit, and I've been saying this shit for years, everybody wants to give this motherfucker praise like I didn't say this shit before. And it's not about jealousy. It's about, wait a minute. You've seen all these things and now you want to talk about them once you're out? You've seen the ugliness of it. But yet, you look at those little black kids, it's different. Well, you notice he didn't say anything about education. He didn't say anything about schooling. He didn't say about he barely mentioned the unfair practices. About the promotional, but yet somehow you got promoted. See, a lot of people don't want to admit how deep the rabbit hole goes, especially when they get promoted. How many times you made arrests and you like, oh well. But yeah, you get these places where you're trying to promote the Gray Faulkner Initiative,
and you get a lot of pushback.
You get a lot of pushback, even from police, or former police, retired police. You know why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative of putting the black man back in power.
And not only from black men, but also black women. Look at Sergeant
Exactly.
you presented that.
I literally called her show. Remember?
I was listening, bro. She was listening. Say, yeah, let me get your information. Didn't hear back.
Didn't hear back.
Didn't back. Not one time because of the agenda. If you look at the guests that's on her channel, on the average, most of these dudes are, from what I'm hearing, neutered.
They're neutered. They will never give pushback. Just like you had a chick the other time talk about, oh, you wouldn't say the same thing to Cynthia G. I was like, motherfucker, where do you think I started?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cynthia G don't put no fear in my fucking heart. I was listening.
But Charles, if a woman's gonna say that, right, to you, right, it makes you think that. So it seems to me, y'all ladies really want to be in control because what fair man has a fear on another woman amongst the community? What sense that make? Say, oh, you want to say it to her? You know, most dudes in the space say a lot of shit about her that is actually now proven factual. If you didn't go back all the videos, it might be hard, but you have to Google it real hard to find some videos, people that had conversations one-on-one with her. You see a lot of her, even with a lot of dudes, that actually destroy most of her talking points. Unfortunately.
I destroyed her biggest talking point.
I would say that's consistent is how, ironically, we as men, we could probably do a little better. You get me?
Yeah.
Only thing, but in regards to all the other shit now, those shit's been debunked and destroyed a long time ago.
I remember listening to her when she had a conversation. What was it, today? No, it was yesterday with C Boogie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, you said it was yesterday.
And she talks about how black men didn't fight during the civil rights era. Well, we could have fought for our freedom. See, once again, everybody's a goddamn soldier till they meet one. Are you willing to pull up a rifle? Are you willing to put your life on the line? How many children and how many sons are you willing to bear to give up to the cause? How much blood? See, people don't understand this shit called warfare. People talk big shit till their asses on the line. When you got to be the one who's got to put their fucking side up and say, hey, I'm going to be the shield to protect my community. It's okay to shame the men for taking the best option for our survival when you weren't there. Ask your mama, ask your daddy. Hell, ask your grandparents if they're still around. Go ahead, ask. You're not gonna fuck around and shame a bunch of men who gave you the best fucking options. Especially if you never bust a grape in your damn life. Still there, Chaos? No, you probably stepped away.
I'm here. I was just training some.
Oh.
Yeah, but like I said, a lot of people talk too much big talk.
And to give credit to C Boogie, he did call her out on her bullshit. But here it is, right? I'm not gonna get a person like that. I could even get fucking KK to have a conversation because she's a 40-plus-year-old spinster who likes men to kiss her ass instead of listening to the truth. Let's just face it. You're a bitter, lonely broad who's a spinster who will be alone with no kids. But when I try to have a conversation with you, because everybody knows if you're nice to me, I'm nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to see what she was talking about when she talked about warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't like it when a bunch of ladies talk out the side of their ass about subjects they don't know. I don't talk about having giving birth is easy. I don't talk about that shit. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
Because God knows I'm going to talk about what really matters and what's the subject matter about.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sit there and tell me that, hey, Black men never don't protect black women. You're the most protected creature on earth. Anytime black men commit murder when you were absolutely wrong, that's fucking protection.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want us to do? Build golden idols in your image and worship it morning, noon, and night? But yet, I even asked this to some of my female friends. Are women currently good pickers of men? Who do you vet these men by? If you want to build a strong community, you got to start bearing the children of strong men.
Charles, I might have to get pushed back because, as I see, in this community, if there were strong men that they were messing around with, they're gonna make their children become neuter anyway. It's shown reflected over the last 40 more years.
Well, that's because the only reason they got away with neutering their children, well, the boys, because they don't neuter their girls,
Yeah.
is because there was no man to tell her cut that bullshit out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why. I'll take all the push. People know me. I'll take pushback
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give it back. See, the reason why you don't have pushback and you don't have the stronger men is because you have too much feminine energy running through that damn house, and that boy is going to look around, conscious or subconsciously, and say, well, the only way to get ahead is to act like a goddamn female myself.
Mm-hmm.
When I told people, yes, your men have to go through a struggle, they have to go through a journey. Do you know the reason why the male body is a much more complex creature than the females? It's because more responsibility is going to be put on his fucking head. Once again, I can tell you, why aren't these men working? Because you don't want to give up the comfortable jobs and positions that you taken from your men. Well, we joined the feminist movement to get some rights. When the fuck could a black man in America tell a black woman not to get a job? I'll wait.
I'll wait too.
But yet, you're taking up all the good education, all the good jobs for yourselves, and then you wonder why there's no men. Because there are no benefits for black men. I'm really thinking that a lot of this shit is damn near predatory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go get a baby by a guy who's not going to fight for it. And the ones who do fight, they got to go uphill in a goddamn battle. Well, that's not true. And I told you this before. If I was on some fucking niggas ain't shit doctrine, it's all your fault, black men, I get all kinds of donations.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a Derek Jackson.
Yeah, Derek, these niggas ain't shit. One dude that fucked me over, man, he ain't shit. You're right, Derek. I should leave and take all the money, man.
If I was on some Steve Harvey. Well, what's the dude name? From the Medea movies?
Tyler Perry.
Because I was on some Tyler Perry shit. Like, here's my shit. Even black men. Oh, you never say nothing to the black man. Yes, I do. I say you're too cheap. You don't support your interests. You don't support shit. You don't support shit.
Yep.
If I was telling you game on how to get pussy.
Mm-hmm.
How to fucking smash and dash.
How to pump really and dump.
Yep.
A lot of y'all do really pump really good. Anyway, matter of fact, y'all sit there and y'all might just pump and might leave a baby on a chick.
I mean, y'all be donating. Yeah, that's some good shit. I should try that.
Yeah, my mom always want to fuck this bitch. Yeah, I like Charles Barton. He said, talk to me again. Here, Charles, take this $10 super chat.
Take this $100, right, man? You told me some truth.
Yeah, I need this.
I want But when a motherfucker like me tell you, hey, get into fitness. Hey, start studying some shit. Join the military. Join the police department. Sing.
Oh, Charles, you're simping, Charles. That's too much work. I don't want to do the work, Charles.
I had
Easier.
my ex-girlfriend tell me, well, a boy doesn't need to travel to do that. Yes, he does. Sometimes you gotta say it. Sometimes your son needs to get the fuck away from you.
Oh, Charles. Yo, bro, sister told me that. I'm married from D Darrell, and I'm gonna one time try and get him on to your stream. He told me one brother, young dude. He was on the honor student. He was so, I guess, gifted, and he put in the work that he got a full ride to college. Did you know his own mother looked in his eye and begged him not to go out of state college because she didn't want to be alone and need him? You know, this boy stayed and helped this mom pay bills and got himself locked up on the street.
But yet we don't tell those stories, do we?
Bro, listen, maybe said that it's gonna make black women look at themselves hard in the mirror. Say, you know, a few women that you're around that does that to their own sons.
See, I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm gonna put it out there very honestly, right? I'm not afraid to make those hard. I'm not afraid to talk about them hard ass fucking subjects. I'm not fucking afraid. I'm not fucking afraid of that. The reason why is because a lot of you put more money on his books than you do on his education.
Oh, I wasn't right for that. Oh, no. Oh, damn. I wish I had that sound effect. Matter of fact, I got something. I gotta play this, bro. I have to play this. Y'all gonna hate me for this. I don't give a crap. Where's my thing? Oh, no, it's not. Let's see, I have it in my archives. Yeah, no, I'll probably skip it. I had to play this. Where is it? Oh, damn, I don't got it here. All right, keep talking.
A lot of this shit goes back into not appreciating your children, especially your sons. Why would you beg your son to stay home because you don't want to be alone? That's your fault. You ruined your life. You became a spinster. Why were you a single mother? Why? Somehow this boy, by the grace of God, but then you'll tell your sons, oh, he should have made something of his life.
Bro.
You sabotage your sons. See, Michael Woods, I'm going to tell you why the black community is the way it is. It's not because of fucked up police, even though that shit doesn't help. It's not because of these fucking laws. It's because we have a bunch of saboteurs in our fucking society. I don't get it. Black men been doing. How the fuck is it, if you think about it? And I challenge anybody on this one, friend, foe, in between. How the fuck is it that black men were doing all this great shit under Jim Crow?
All right, and this is to the man that I hope he got out of jail. This one's for you.
Think about it. You had to literally play taps for some of these fools. You all listen. What did I tell you? What was one of the rites of passages? To outgrow your mother. See, I'm glad you said that, because that's going to give validity to this next series of shit.
Yeah.
A lot of black men need to outgrow their goddamn mothers.
And do it fast, bro. Fast.
You go to sit on a fucking full ride, no debt. You help paying her bills because she's lonely. Bitch, you better get plenty of fish.
No, listen, that ride is done, bro. If you didn't secure man before you had a child, and this is the same for Mr. Chambers told a lot of women said about this baby mamaism, your chance of finding, especially a high value most women looking for, are very slim. And a lot of women, I'm sorry to say, you're not that exceptional.
You're
You're not close to a 9 and above. And that's just only if possible. But what's the average nowadays that women have one child, much as two, but let's say one child, it's going to bag a seriously
They
high
get a
value.
little sprinkles of sixes. That's the majority.
Now listen. I'm gonna be real harsh. Nicole Michelle can't save you. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. The reason why, because overall, if she is able to, let's say she's able to, that tells me there's a lot of suckers men out here.
No, there's a bunch of sucker ass niggas is another downfall of the community, man.
Yeah.
We talk about the police, but we
Yeah.
don't talk about the sucker ass niggas.
Yeah.
You wanna sit here and not take care of your children. You don't even come in a position of power.
Mm-hmm.
See, I refuse certain shit until you look at what's going on past. How the fuck you build Black Wall Street doing Jim Crow? Doing redlining.
Mm-hmm.
Doing all this shit. And you think about it. The government literally had their foot. They didn't even have their foot. They didn't even put their knees on our necks. They literally came off the top rope and dropped the elbow right on top of our throats.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, you want to talk about, like we said in one of the last live streams, the reason why you don't have control over the coon. Because you never supported them. You don't put your money where your mouth is. You allow. Where was this boy's father?
Nowhere.
Where was this boy's mentors?
Nowhere.
You beg your son not to leave you off of your selfish needs. And then he got a record. Oh, poor baby. I keep telling you. Your mother will accept your mediocrity. Your father will accept your excellence.
But Charles, it goes back again when they talk about black men. They also got to talk about the black boys as well.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
But
this is where I don't answer the logic of a lot of these dumb fucking bitches. You get me?
But that's an important question that the former sergeant, now Mr. Woods, never even computed. What type of home life does these children live? Are they supported?
Nope.
Are they revered? Here it is. If a young man's smart enough to get to an illustrious college and get a full ride, that was supposed to be the black man to pull us out the fucking system.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll get a Cynthia G. Oh, no, Cynthia, you got to realize something. And people who think like you kill your soldiers ever before they even go to basic training.
That's what the point is, man. You know?
But then you'll throw a white man in our face.
Mm-hmm.
Or the white man's building. How can I build when you're taking out the bricks as soon as I put them up?
This man doesn't build shit, bro. Let's keep it 100. I tell people many times, what really this caucus really builds? He really builds nothing. And the reason why the control is lingered this long, because to be honest with you, it's because black people have not come hit a real rock bottom. If there was collapse tomorrow, I guarantee you that control will no longer last longer than it was.
Yeah,
I
think
tell you,
about
the reason why black people talk the way they do talk, especially on podcast YouTube, because I know said they are dealing right now in an environment of comfortability. Once the comfort really is over, then we're gonna see who really the man woman is. We want to see who really talks this shit. And this is a real honest fucking fact.
it. You came to the right place, Killer Red.
Okay.
See, this is the shit that gets me upset about this whole totality of this video when we played. You talk about why do the police do this or do that, but you never say why don't we get more black police? Why don't we get more black leadership? Hell, why don't we get more black leadership in the black community? Anytime they bring up a Kamala Harris to run with, they didn't even think of bringing up a black man. You know why? Because
even a black male vice president. Now that we have this conversation,
the only acceptable black man to a lot of these people is a gay one.
yeah.
But yet, you allow, and you how can a motherfucker? And I want you to really say this, black people. How can a motherfucker even have the audacity to bring to have an interview with a goddamn Cardi B? Really? Really? Out of all the intelligent black people you can fucking have? Really? Hopefully you get better, Killer Red. Anybody else who wants to come up, they could come up. Feel free. The link's in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, come
See,
on. Come on, call night. We're going. Mm-hmm.
See, this lets you know what they really think about you. How the fuck is it that we allow somebody to insult us so badly? You have this white guy talking about, well, the corruption here is all fucked up. When you were part of the system, did you try to change it?
Nope.
When you were a supervisor, a fucking sergeant, did you try to change it? You even said, go get the car stopped. Stop pulling over the cute girls. Who do you think drives the fucking car? Who do you think drives the drugs? It's like the oldest trick in the book. Stash the gun, stash the drugs on the girl, because the cops ain't going to check you. Just smile and be pretty. But then you realizing that, oh, well, these black guys aren't that bad. Really? But yet, we don't blame ourselves. Ior, come on up, Iori. Because it's these limiting liberals like Biden looks at the black community as a pimp and hoe relate. It is. All I want to hear is that song, Do You Want to Ride in the Backseat of Caddy? I mean, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even get respect. We put our necks out day to day, even in this community, looking for a job. How do I know? I try to help young black men coming out of jail for a year or two to look for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Malcolm said it a long time ago. Does the pimp ever really respect the hoe? Where are we at? Riddle me the fuck that. You go on and you got these guys, like I've been to many different channels. I was on Amazing Lucas. Matter of fact, even made a snippet of our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Having a bunch of guys say, he's not a real cop. Tell some of the people who recognize me and says, like, yeah, he's real.
Yeah.
When I told people what would happen in different cases.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, Yeah, yeah. Think about it. Y- The only people who really give black men opportunities tend to be other black men.
Sure.
I didn't see none of these millionaires give black boys pay for the whole fucking graduating class.
Shit, you're lucky you get a dime from a millionaire.
And and I'm gonna tell you something. Since we on that note, what Robert F. Smith did was give a whole bunch of black men their fucking freedom papers. Their fucking freedom papers, and you see how we shit on him because we worried about who he sleeps with at night and who's in his bed. We worried about that shit. We worry about shit that doesn't mean a goddamn hill of beans. This man literally, but they don't talk about the black wife he was with for 25 years who he had his black children by. But we worried about his current wife.
And you know one thing, since you mentioned that, I go a step further. He did that and did a very good, a graceful sacrifice. You have the own government on his ass now about tax something. That tells you, say, you know, black men, you have to come somewhat together, be on code, and work with your brothers.
And you know why they came with taxes? Because of what he did. They're
Yeah,
trying to come with him.
but you know, it's expected, bro, because at the end of the day, other black men don't support other black men that's doing very well.
But you demonize your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Iori? What's up, nephew?
What's good, Irie?
What's up, Uncle Chuck?
What's up? What you
Yeah,
think
man.
about the whole program today?
Like, see, I've been thinking, it's good, man. It's good. Like, you know, we gotta stop dehumanizing people. See,
Mhm.
so many people get away with dehumanizing people. You know, profiting off of their suffering, laughing at their suffering. You know, I mean, even if you look at Biden, because you talked about Cardi B before, you know, the Democrats are basically putting the worst of the worst as an example, as a representation of the best of the best. Cardi B was somebody who said that she drugged men, she stole from them, she did what she had to do.
Exactly.
And this is and keep in mind, this is who the Democratic Party, the limousine liberal side of the Democratic Party. But see, I'm a part of the real left, and the Democratic Party is not part of the left. We have two right wing parties. The only difference is that one is center right and one is part of the right. It's deeper to the right. But when it comes down to actually making things better, neither of these parties are for that. You know,
No, they're not.
it's you know and this is exactly why I have such a problem with these limousine liberals and these other people that basically carry water for these limousine liberals, because Malcolm X talked about it in the ballot or the bullet speech. He said it's time for black people to stop listening to what white politicians have to say. They come into black communities, give somebody a song and a dance and a narrative to run on, and all of a sudden they go to black churches and go to different things like using the media and tell black people what to do in terms of things that are completely devoid of their interest. Malcolm said that.
I'm gonna answer this question first. I'm gonna talk about the what Killer Red said. Okay, I got a deep question that I feel some may suspect but don't want to ask because of some reasons. Do our people have an issue with authority? Yes.
Yes.
That's part of the issue with policing. The hardest part. Our people ran away from authority for so goddamn long Why do you think there's no man in our houses anymore like it used to be? Why do you think the children run rampant like they used to be? Why? Do you really think that if a man was in the house worth his shit, that we would have the fucking sons reading at a fucking grade level? That's deplorable.
Yeah.
Do you really think that we would have our sons in the highest fucking incarcerated, the highest unemployed, the lowest educated? Fucking last night on Chaos's channel, he went through nation by nation, and the only nations that had more higher educated women than their men were first world fucking countries.
Yeah. Do you want me to name the
Yeah.
few countries, if I can recall?
Yeah.
The few countries that had women more educated than men. I remember United States and United
England.
Kingdom.
Yeah. So you telling me if we didn't have a problem with authority, your women would not be so visceral to you? I'm independent. Shut the fuck up. You know why a lot of my exes never leave me alone truly and probably want to get back with me in some form of way? Well, if it's friendship, relationship, or something, it's because they finally got a man that they can look up to. And I'm not bragging on myself. They finally got a man that will tell them the fucking right thing. They finally got a man that they know come hella high water, he's going to lead us to fucking the promised land. He's not going to kiss my ass. He's going to make the tough decisions because that's what fucking men do. You know what? I can't wait to do a panel this weekend where we're going to talk about authority and the rites of passage for men. Because if you ever notice this, nobody really talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The most you'll hear is that we need a rite of passage. We need a rite of passage. The motherfucker, you'll get one, Faulkner style. You know what I'm gonna put up there? Number 1, the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you gave that perfect example why they need to leave the home.
Mm-hmm.
Because a man needs to learn how to live by himself. A woman doesn't leave. See, let's tell the secret, right?
Let's
A
talk
lot
some
of women, huh?
Let's talk some serious game. Go ahead. Lay it out.
I'm gonna put some serious game out there. You don't mind, nephew. You don't mind, Chaos.
Right.
No,
What's
go
up,
ahead,
son?
bro. Go ahead. Yeah,
What's up, Sonny? What's up, Sonny? Woo! Good damn fight last
Shout
weekend,
out
wasn't
to the suit game, by the way. I've been seeing those posts, bro.
it? The suit game was mean, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Suit game was mean.
I've
Number
been
1.
taking notes.
Oh yeah, I can't wait till we have the suit Sundays or Saturdays. Number 1, a man must leave home. The longer he stays home, the more neutered and the more afraid of the environment he will become. Ask Sonny when he trains his fighters. You can only hit the bag so many times. You can only hit the pad so many times until you know what it feels like to hit a human being and to get hit by one. All that shit means nothing. Same thing with wrestling. I can practice the moves. If you can't do it real time, it doesn't mean shit. As a matter of fact, as a coach, I'm going to tell you a real secret. If you can't do the move when it's live and you're tired, then you didn't master the move.
Yeah.
See, when my coach taught me, he made sure we had what's called a pit bull drill. You started from the coaches, and sometimes we'll have a guest, a former wrestler or another coach. You started from the coaches, 2 minutes apiece, on down, and you started in the referee's position. I learned how to hit a switch out of nowhere while I was tired because I did not feel like having, trust me, after wrestling about 10 people, your fucking body will fucking fail you. But if that move is mastered, it will just be automatic. Same thing with a jab or a cross. And you'll see openings.
Can I say something?
Oh, go
Can I
ahead.
say something, Uncle Chuck?
Go ahead.
You know, there's definite credence to that, because the thing is, if you can execute if you can execute something when you're tired, that really shows that your technique is correct. Because
Mhm.
the only way that you can actually test your technique is to test it under stress. That under stress, speed, and just fatigue, to be honest. Because if you ever notice, like, I see this a lot. I see this a lot with musicians, because I'm a musician. The only way that you can really test whether somebody really has his techniques down and he really has his chops down is whether he can actually perform with speed and stress when he's fatigued. Because everybody can
Mhm.
go ahead and perform well under optimal environments. But the thing is, when you're tired and you've been on stage for a couple hours and you can still rip out your licks and rip out the type of speed and technique you need to execute, that's when you really understand what you're doing.
And you
Period.
know what that's called? That's called conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
People wonder why.
Yeah.
Wow, you bounce down, you get thrown to the mat, and you pop right back up. You're conditioned not to stay. See, if you ever see me wrestle, as big as I am, you'll notice only the balls of my feet touch the mat, even when I'm tired. You know why? You move laterally and horizontally much better.
Mm.
You got to condition your feet to that.
That's footwork.
That footwork is very important. I preach this to my wrestlers. If your technique is weak, then you are weak. So to test a man, he must go outside of his level of comfort. Why do you think the Zulus, the Egyptians, the Spartans, all these the Cherokees, the Apaches, the Aztecs, the knights, the samurai, the ninja will rip the boy away from their mothers at a certain age to test them, to go on that journey? Why do I tell you one of the other things of the rites of passage is that a boy must be teachable?
Yes.
Yep.
And you can't beat these well in front of your goddamn fucking mother. I'm sorry to say that.
He must be teachable.
Matter of fact, I told you about Brendan Jones. He said himself personally, as he became adult, he never did trust or being around other black men, and one dependency for other black men, other brothers, because it was never shown to him throughout his development in life. You know.
You nurture.
Mm.
See, when I explained this to my ex-girlfriend and I explained it on a quick live stream, people looked at me like, interesting. I never thought about it like that. That's why I told her I believe 2-year minimal to go to the military. Well, how can you be built up by screaming at somebody? Exactly. You don't understand men. Exactly.
Yeah, condition
Men are
stress.
Exactly. In order to, I'm going to quote Lord Beerus. Before creation, you know the rest, must come destruction.
Sure.
I must destroy your bad habits, your lack of perseverance, your lack of teamwork, your selfishness in order to make you great. I could take a rusty piece of metal from an old axe, rust it all out. Once you put it in the forge, it becomes moldable, malleable.
Mm-hmm.
You take that hammer You beat on that motherfucker and you shape it. You put it back in the forge. You shape it again. You put it back in the forge and you keep shaping it. And then what happens when it comes out of that forge once you dip it in that oil? It hardens.
It hardens.
It becomes tested. Everybody has a plan until they get hit. Yep, Joe Louis and Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Muscle
Mike
memory is
Tyson.
important. Repetition at its fundamental. See, Sonny, get your ass up here, Sonny. Get your ass up here. You know we don't talk from the chat like that. I'm gonna fuck with Sonny. That's my boy. Told you we're gonna do a combat. This week we got to do a combat. We got to do a combat sports and black boys, because I definitely want to get Sonny on that rite of passage, because he boxes, he teaches, and I think he does podcasts about fighting. See, when you harden that motherfucker and you temper it, the next thing you do to that, you shape it into the tomahawk you want it. You put it back into the forge, and you know what you do? You get some steel. You put a different type of steel. You know, something that could keep a blade on it. So you wedge it. You know, you put a little wedge in there. You put some different type of steel that could get actually a good sharp blade, and it's surrounded by hardened steel. So that means he's hardened, but he's also flexible to adapt to the situation needed. Man, we preaching, bro.
Mhm.
We preaching. Shoot, let me get this. Hey, Chaos, could you send Sony the link?
Um,
His email is in the chat. See, a lot of people don't understand that concept of being hardened. That's the reason why I got to take him away.
Right.
Because that boy is going to look to their parents. And I look to the parents and I shake my head. No. And you know what that mother or father's going to do? Get your ass back on that mat. Man up. You know, it's a tradition that I always do two things. I've coached girls too. So I'm even harder on the girls, because you're giving up physical strength. So your technique's got to be A1. It's got to be pristine. I cross-face them as hard as I can, and I throw them as hard as I can, landing 280 pounds on their chest. And why is that tradition necessary? Because no matter what match you get in, you'll never feel strength or weight like that ever in your weight class. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the email for me. Okay. I'm going to screenshot it. Appreciate it. But get up on here if you can, because
send it now.
Because a lot of young black boys need to leave the home. You got to be teachable. You can't lean to your own understanding. The next part of it is you have to learn to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your honor, and know when to do such appropriately.
So if they can deal with that, then
Go ahead, Ior.
But Charles, you know, it's funny. A lot of women, and I know when I hear other women talk about what men should do, and I'm telling most men, and then they're gonna stop listening to women. A lot of these women that up it is saying the same things overall for not only attention, but really to make money. And to be honest, if you have children and you feel this value about male community, right?
no, it's okay, bro.
And bigger.
Continue. It's
What? Because these are things what ladies could try to position. If they're really concerned about the boys and the girls, especially boys in the community, and they're gonna raise them by themselves, that means they're gonna have to spend money and be that cost to really do what's necessary. Just like George Macon said it on his own live stream about the women in our community. You got to make a sacrifice. You got to make a sacrifice. You know,
Yeah.
and the sacrifice you might not see the fruits of your labor in your lifetime, but to really turns around because of the situation condition right now where we stay as race right now, you're gonna have to make that great sacrifice. Now, if you don't want to make that extra sacrifice, my advice: give the son to the father.
I gotta give who to the what?
And not only that, you pay him child support, make him do what he should be doing.
I gotta do the what to the what? I gotta work. Nigga, you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
See, once you learn how to be teachable, you gotta learn how to defend. I can't teach you to be a guardian. I can't teach you to be a warrior if you're not teachable, if you're not willing to be on the journey. Did the monk or the martial arts master come to you, or did you come to him? See, we don't like to hear these stories, man. And then once you're able to defend and protect, because a man knows when to protect himself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. How do you protect your community and your women and your children? You protect them from listening to fucking people like a Joe Biden who would bring a fucking Cardi B up there and be like, we ain't listening to this bullshit. The next thing, you must have somebody that you teach. Well, what's the first thing you hear in the black community? I ain't gonna teach none of these boys. That's their fathers. What if they don't have a father? What if the father died? What if you have a skill that the boy needs to succeed? You know, one of the greatest shows in the last 15 years, cartoon, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Did Aang show you what the passage of man, the rite of passage for manhood was? He had to go out and learn different air. He was a natural at airbending, but the hardest art for him was earthbending, because it's a different mindset and different concept. Did he have to travel out from his normal space? Like, he was literally the only airbender on Earth for years. For over 100 years, he was the last airbender. So when, there we go. So when he had to learn, he had to actually take a journey. He had to be taught and be teachable. He had to learn how to defend himself and others. And guess what else happened? A little echo. He had to put people under his teach. What's your ward? Who do you teach?
Right.
So when we get into this thing, here's the guilty shit about a lot of black men. You don't want to teach anybody shit.
Yeah.
God damn. Should have inhaled that shit. He became a great teacher in his own right. But once again, we go into this feminine ideology, which hurts a lot of brothers, where each one teach one, because I can learn from each of you, just like hopefully you learn from my crazy ass.
Right.
And we stifle each other's knowledge by thinking we know it all.
Right.
The next point, what is the army that supports you? Oh shit.
Oh shit.
But Kevin, I'm a high tier man and I do it all by myself. Bullshit. No man is an army among himself.
Yep. Matter of fact,
Never.
Lone Wolf picked off much faster than anything else.
Exactly. And yep, and that's why we're not teachable. Because in order to say you have an army backing you, let's go back to Aang, the Avatar. His friend, future girlfriend, future wife, Katara, was his first waterbending teacher. His friend slash ally, what was the one who did the earthbending? Tope
Uh,
was his earthbending teacher.
right.
Zuko, the guy who was hunting him down and was trying to kill him, later became his firebending teacher.
Right.
Look at his friend slash future brother-in-law was his strategist.
Right. The dude with the sword.
Sokka. Look at the army that he had supporting him, not including the other supporting cast that he met along his journey. That's another reason why your journey is important, because you learn how to network.
Right.
Which is why you see black men having so much trouble connecting with other black men. In the white community, what Robert F. Smith did would not be considered amazing. It would be the norm.
Mm-hmm.
In the Asian community, it would be considered the norm. Think about it. This entire time, you get knowledge from a lot of these content creators. What do? We shun them.
We shit on them, actually.
We defecate like a motherfucker. Act like what Wood said about that fucking drug unit. Defecate on shit. We don't have a sergeant out there for each district to say, hey, Sergeant Faulkner, I got a question about this officer here. I felt I was done wrong about it. Okay, tell me what happened. We'll make a formal complaint and we'll investigate. We don't put people in power and network, be like, yo, I know homeboy. We don't support the Black OFP like the Vanguard that put class action lawsuits against the department and got many of people in positions of power to change the policing. Well, I'm a self-made man. I believe in rugged individualism. Only you, nigga.
Right.
And here's another one. And I got to quote Kevin Samuels about this one. Are you usable by your group?
Not that useful in this sector.
Can someone call you and say, "Hey, Aori, I need you to play some jazz for me at this concert. Can you do it? I need you to teach playing instruments to this group of black kids. Can you do it?"
Sure.
No, I don't need to teach the kids, man. They ain't me. Their father should have taught them. How the fuck can you call yourself a teacher when you don't have anything? I said, I've been offered by white schools to coach their teams. And they get paid for it. I mean, in BGS's last video, he gave me a compliment and said, we got a cop in a live cop there, referring to myself. And he
Right.
said he doesn't mind because he loves this sector so much because he gave. Yeah, it's true. This sector gave me so much, and I try to give back as much, if not more. How much are you willing to give to the fight of betterment of black men, black women, and black people in its totality? Another aspect we don't think about: how to get over your fear of women. Well, this girl said I'm not a real man if I don't do this and if I don't pay that. Not one time did you ask her how much experience do you have in being a man?
Right.
Not one time did you not say and stay on your feet, hey, you got to come better than pussy and a cute smiling face to me. But once again, the simp nigga fucks up the game. The kiss your ass nigga fucks up the game. Well, if women did this, I just want a woman to submit to you. If that woman doesn't automatically submit to you, that's not your woman. Oops. Well, black men talk about submission, and black men never fought. The black men you could get never fought.
Right. Right.
I don't know. Everybody could jump in if they like. They can jump in. I don't got to do all the talking.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to a member of um, somebody I talked to. His name's Dollar Will. If anybody
Mm-hmm.
knows who Dollar Will is,
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
just crazy, crazy skilled brother. And I'm in his trading group. And I was sitting down and I was asking him, I'm like, bro, like we need more people in here, right? I'm like, the stuff you're putting out is 100% legit. Like, how come we don't have more people in here? It's like, well, like, hey man, like I can only do what I'm supposed to do. It's up for them to come in here and learn this stuff, right? And it's crazy because I learned something in this sector a lot. And the thing that I learned is if Dollar Will wasn't part of the Black Brain Trust, the amount of demand that he would have for the type of stuff that he's putting out would be out the door. But the weirdest thing is the people that have the most to offer in terms of the betterment of other people are the same ones that aren't really being pushed the way that they're supposed to be pushed. Now, if Uncle Chuck was Chinese or he was European or he was white or whatever, like he wouldn't have all these people shitting on him over facts that he was putting out last week over the Breonna Taylor thing. The type of stuff that you had to deal with, sir, was just crazy to me.
Oh yeah.
And I see this all the time. I see Dollar Will. I see, so many people like Mike V, like all that kind of stuff. And to me, like I go to your channel, Complex Designs channel, Black Brain Trust, like all that stuff, and I basically subscribed immediately because this is the type of information that's gonna change the paradigm for people. It's like it's crazy to me, bro. And this is why
on this stream at like 12 o'clock at night. I got 15 minutes before a trade opens up. But like, yeah, bro, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And what happens is, I've always said this, and I'm very consistent in my message. Lean not to your own understanding, because I learned from a lot of you. I can't tell when people be like, and BG has to tell you. Now, one damn thing he said that I never challenged or try to experiment. And I was like, you motherfucker, you were right. And there's times when he asked my opinions, my professional opinion about things, and I gave it to him raw. And he said, one thing about you, why people love you so much is because you never lied to us. You gave it to us raw, whether we
Yeah.
liked it or not.
Yeah.
So when I look at these things, when they talk about the corruption in the police department, is there going to be corruption in police? Yes. Just like there's going to be crime in the world, there's still going to be murder. What we're trying to do is curb it so there is little to none. We're trying to put more trustworthy and honorable people of integrity to check the people who want to do corruption. To be like, if you do it, you got all right to do it, but that's your ass.
Right.
See, you got to keep the honest man honest. Another part of the fucking rite of passage, do the older men look at you as a man?
Right. That's the litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
It's the litmus test.
Can you take orders? Can you defend? Can you learn? Can you teach? How do we look at you? Well, why does the boy got to go away? Because you to get away from those influences that you put in him that weren't supposed to be manly.
It's also really about how you take orders. Are you taking orders because you want to and you're proud to take orders, or are you taking orders because you have to and you hate it? There's a difference there.
Oh, there's a big difference. But you better take the. But guess what? Even if you hate it, you got to take it.
Sure.
Do I like every order that I get? Fuck no. Do I like the fact that there's many a times I'm on a shooting case and I got to look at a dead body? Fuck no. That I got to go down and do a conditions check. I got to submit a dead person's clothes to ECU. Fuck no. All bloody and shit. Fuck no. But it's got to be done. See, that's the part about being a man. See, I'm not the one who preaches about high. See, Kevin lives in that world. See, we forget about that. Kevin lives in that world. Can I do it as well? Yeah, I can do it. When I get promoted, damn sure I'm gonna do it. Damn sure I can. But you know where you lay and you know where you sit. And when it comes to the more militaristic world, which I'm from, and for all intents and purposes still am, you have to take orders because usually somebody's life depends on it. You get what I'm saying? You may not get if I took you and Chaos into a house and we got our rifles and our pistols ready and we got to clear this house, if you don't take your field of fire, you could get me killed or get us all killed if you don't take your section of fire.
Right.
So even if you don't want to, you have to. See, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna add that to see. That's how we learn, because you brought up a good damn point. Do you do what you got to do regardless if you like it or not? Do you do what needs to be done regardless if you like it or not? That's definitely manhood, rite of passage 101. I have a friend of mine who's a pharmacy tech. I don't even know when he called out from work. This motherfucker will, in a snowstorm, will walk to work. He will find his way to work. One of the greatest compliments one of my boys Ali said. He said one thing about you and Aaron, y'all going to work because I'm an essential employee. So is my boy who's a pharmacy tech's essential employee. Because if he gets the count wrong or the dosage wrong or give the wrong medication to somebody, that's somebody's life.
Yeah.
Lionel said, don't give older men much credit. Most look at young men like a lick. Not necessarily, not all of them. See, those are low tier, I've done nothing in my life type of older men. See, when we become older, you're going to look at 20-year-olds. I'm almost 40, 38 years old. I look at 21-year-olds and 20-year-olds like, you'll learn. They be like, but no, you'll learn. I'll give you a good story because everybody loves Uncle Charles's stories, right?
Sure. Go ahead.
Two of my wrestlers were like, Coach, because they always call me Coach, even to this day. I think you hate women. No, I don't. I just know their behavior. So they go to his boy. So they go to one of them. They go back home, and his mother, because his sister was having a baby, she was yelling at him, throwing the dressers and TV and all kinds of furniture at him, calling him all kinds of bitches and all kinds of motherfuckers, because they were playing around with one of those little toy guns that you obviously could see as a toy gun. And she got upset. So he had to stay over my house for 2 months till shit cooled down. And then the mom is calling me like, is he okay? Is he safe? I'm like, why are you calling me? He has a cell phone. Like, what's going on over there? Well, we had, of course, she tried to sugarcoat it. And it was, of course, well, we had a disagreement and it was a little yelling. And I said, we're furniture thrown. Yes. I said, B, don't shit me. Don't bullshit me. Just tell me the truth.
That's not an argument. That's a,
That's
disaster.
That's a disaster. Not only assault, but also child abuse or second or first degree assault. And once again, you're getting mad at something that boys naturally do. Well, you got to understand. No, you're getting upset with shit that naturally gets done.
Yeah.
But because you want to move your daughter in here because you know she's going to bring food stamps and money and all kinds of benefits because of that baby that your son won't be able to do even if he gets a girl pregnant. And by the way, I did have some wrestlers who had children while they wrestled for me. And I said, guess what? You still got to wrestle, but your ass, we got to find your ass a job to support that motherfucker too.
Sure.
You play adult games, you're going to have to do adult shit. And guess what? You're still going to school and you're still going to get decent grades, if not great.
Sure.
So, as men, we walk in a different world than everybody else. As black men, we're on Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty much in the Vegas, and what is it, the Vegas sector, where we're like damn near 24 light years away. We're so fucking far away, we have to measure the distance by the speed of light. So when you take these orders, remember, and I tell this to everybody, when we look at older men, and that's part of the problem in the black community, we don't respect men. When you get to the age, or when you have children, think about the hell you gave your parents, or the heaven you gave them, because everything comes back full circle, sometimes tenfold, which means 100 times. Because when we get to a certain age, are we teaching young men? You're gonna have to teach. I told Obsidian this. I forget what type of blue collar work he did, but if you gave your skills to 20 young men, you would change 20 families overnight. Because if they had families of their own, because of the skills you taught them, you took away 20 potential criminals and drug dealers. Or as he used to call them, park apes. You took away a guy who potentially could rob you because he doesn't have anything. See, in the black community, we don't have enough people say we're worth a damn, but we got plenty of people to say we ain't shit. And that's what the bottom line is. We're not valued because one, we look at ourselves as alien, as foreign, as criminal, and now you got a white guy who leaves the department, and now he's seen the error of his ways. You're supposed to get a PhD in management. When you get your management in your business, how many black faces are you going to hire?
0. Just like DJ Black used what's his name? I forgot that dude's name again.
What is it, Lord something? Lord
Jabbar, yeah.
Lord Jabbar. I remember what I said that about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was making excuses for fucking Vlad. But I said I see this motherfucker for what he is. He's a culture vulture.
Sure.
And I said that. I said the first time I noticed it is when he had Tommy Sotomayor for an interview, and somehow Tariq Nasheed goes up in there. Them two men could have killed. Huh? Go ahead, Ira.
Yeah, that's too big of a coincidence for it to actually be a coincidence. That was a setup.
That was a fucking setup. And those two men could have killed each other. They could have got in a big fight. Anything could have happened, and it'd have been over that man's head.
Well, you think DJ Black care, bro?
No.
Yeah. Man, I think you was anticipating that.
I was like, I told people. Every time I tell people shit, people forget what I do for a living is investigate and see the evidence that's presented before me. I don't make shit up. I just see what it is. If I get more evidence, I put it to the file. And I said, watch people gonna call him out and be like, oh, he's a culture vulture. He's this, he's that. Yeah. And then I looked at him even stranger. That's called investigation. When he got mad at what's his name? Who's the guy? Nick Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nick Cannon said he said that he was talking about Jewish people. And I like Linnell still being on code that says at least you could count all the family members you lost on the Holocaust. We're still picking up bodies from the ocean. We're still picking up bodies from farmlands.
Sure. And I'm going to say something, and it's not necessarily politically correct, but there are a lot of genocides in this world that don't have paper trails. Now, I'm not going to say that what happened to people that have paper trail genocides is anything worse or better than people that don't. I'm just saying that if you're fighting a war and you end up on a losing side, it doesn't mean that you weren't as brave as the people that won. But the only thing is that history is history is written by the victors. So, there are a lot of people who have genocides that there is no paper trail of, but that doesn't mean that they didn't die. That's all. And every time we actually sit out here and say something about the Jewish genocide, which is a terrible thing, but we kind of gloss over other people who had genocides because technically there's no pressure to have those genocides put at the same level as the Jewish genocide because there is no money and there is no power behind those other genocides. It's a slippery slope to me.
Exactly.
You know.
It's continue your thought. Continue your thought.
Yeah. That's it. Like, it's all I'm saying is as much as Jewish people suffered, other people suffered just as much. It's just that we don't talk about those people because there is no particular reason or a narrative that's built into talking about those things. It's different.
Of course, because the reason why everybody get reparations besides us is because we show no united front. I've for the longest time said, why should black people vote? People shit on Trump and there's like, Trump got COVID, Trump got COVID. Do you really want the head of state of your fucking country to be sick? See, what y'all really, if y'all actually understood politics, all these people cheering about Trump and his wife getting COVID, do you really want Mike Pence, an experienced old time fucking Republican, to be president?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
You got to think he's a very liberal Republican. I mean, he's been Democrat for years. So, I mean, Trump was a Democrat for years. He was an old time. So you telling me, well, I don't give a shit about his platinum plan. What are we getting on the other side?
Nothing.
You vote to your interests, not to your feelings.
Sure.
And that's what men need to step up. I'm about, like, me and my friends are about to start a fraternity. Because we've been in talks about networking. Well, how can we start a fraternity? Very easily. Start an organization of networking. You want to learn how to box? Go to Sunny.
It's levels of high tierism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you see, what you don't do well, again, is to network, you have to be very social. And this society is grooming and training people to be very much anti-social. More than ever. Anyway.
That's because we're taking our cues from women. Not beating up on women, but we take a lot of cues from women. Notice how women are very catty. If you're not a part of their group, they can't work with you. BJS made a great point. Notice how women don't hang outside of their social group very much. 92s usually hang around what? Other 92s. Diesels hang around other diesels. Men, you'll have a guy who drives a trash truck, you'll have a doctor, you'll have a police officer, you have a fireman, you have a business owner, and a cigar lounge enjoying the same shit, watching the game or the fight, and they all get along perfectly, and probably networking. Like, hey, I got this repair order. Can you sign it for me? Sure. Fuck yeah. Come on, bring it here. Hey, I got this issue about trash in my neighborhood. You know, we trying to clean up the. Hell yeah, we'll bring the trash truck around. That's power. Hey, doc, I've been looking for a good physician. I've been trying to get healthy again. Man, here's my card. Come to my practice. I got you.
Sure.
We got away from, and that's the reason why you see this push into going into male spaces so much, because once you start to network, all you need to do is put a woman there and watch the shit fly. Watch it fly. It worked like Billy D. Williams said for years. It works every time. Oh, we want women in the infantry. Why? Well, we want a chance to fight for our country too. You do know you have the hardest and the most appreciated jobs at support and medical levels, right? But yeah, we want to fight too. Okay. Carry this 100-pound pack. It's heavy. Can somebody get this for me? No, 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 no. We're treating you like an equal, like you said you want to be treated.
Sure.
And that's when Me Too comes, because guess what? If you notice about Me Too, a lot of them bras weren't pulling their weight. Well, Me Too was to fight the guys. If you're being sexually harassed, yes, that's a crime. It shouldn't happen. But if you're doing it because you're vindictive, you're an asshole, just like a man would be.
Right.
But you can't talk about people. I know everybody's getting tired. Any last thoughts?
You know, there's something that I kind of wanted to bring up. It's kind of a, for me anyway, it's a shortcut in a lot of ways. Um, when I was growing up, somebody told me, look, sometimes the best way is the way that nobody really talks about. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, so if you're gonna go work right now, like what would you do? I said, I'd probably go to a place like Target and get a job. He said, right, that's what I'm talking about. He said, look, sometimes in this world you can't depend on other people's paychecks. You got to go make your own paychecks. So, you know, he was a real estate agent at the time, and he kind of broke down the importance sometimes of working on commission versus working for $1 an hour job, because he said, look, sometimes it's just better to be compensated on your own efforts than to actually be compensated in other ways. Like, because everybody's going to go to Jack in the Box and they'll get paid money that way. But the thing is, if you look at different ways businesses are structured, and then you really understand who's making the money, you'll realize that those people, most of them, are not working on a dollar per hour basis. They're running their own businesses. A lot of them are making commissions instead of making, dollar an hour kind of things. A lot of times, if you look at how businesses are structured in the business model, that tells you where the money is. And a lot of times when I tell people something like, hey bro, just start an online business, or just do this, or just do that, there's a lot of people that fight against that, because even if I was to tell them how to do it, they don't want to do it. But sometimes, the biggest thing that made the biggest difference in my life is understanding how metrics worked. Because when I was learning real estate and everything else that I was learning, I just realized that, look, if you make $100,000 a year, have a 700 credit score, and did stuff like that, things would be crazy in terms of how you could build things. And a lot of times I talk to people, I'm like, hey, like, if you live in the South, there's no way that you shouldn't be able to make tons of money, because the thing is, you have an advantage because you live places and you know the lay of the land. And I'm talking about things on a real estate basis. And sometimes a lot of people don't understand the implied advantage that they have. And that's the only thing, that's the seed that I want to put out there, Everybody lives somewhere, and everybody's got everybody's got an advantage where they're at compared to out of town people. But a lot of times, people from out of town basically go and do better in those places because they see the environment differently than the people that live there. Sometimes the gold is right underneath your feet. It's just that sometimes people don't see it that way until other people come there and see it for them. And so,
Exactly. Chaos. Last thoughts?
No, I hope people got to real learning from the one known as Charles Faulkner about law enforcement. A lot of things were debunked today, and I want people to go back through. I think this is 3 hours now. The stream's going.
3
Go back,
hours.
listen clearly of what this officer said, the talking points, and the things that Charles analyzed in its entirely. It's gonna come to a point that Black man, you have no option, but you're gonna have to join these institutions to keep prolonging and playing around and let others rule over you. This is what the results you're gonna get, and you're only gonna be comfortable in your own subjugation. So that's all I'm gonna say. Good night.
I think I'm gonna end off with reminds me of the '92 Royal Rumble when Ric Flair won the belt, and he had Mr. Perfect and Bobby the Brain Heaton around him, and they said, "I hate to tell you, I told you so, but we told you so." Did I not tell you this guy and other people who are police don't even come from the same cities where they police? But a black man who comes from the city, works in the city, lives in the city, doesn't know as much, can't police his own city. Stop letting outside interests and outside people take advantage of what you brought them. You're going to have to woman up and you're going to have to man up and create a destiny for yourself and your family. Regardless of what I say, you may not like it. You may not agree with it, but it doesn't make it any less true. Stop running from fucking responsibility and seize it. Seize it. Because if you don't, someone else will. Woo! And God bless.
God bless.